Well, look, the Obama campaign spied on our campaign, and they've been caught. All right, and now let's see what happens to them. But they have been caught. They've been caught red-handed. It's probably treason. It's a horrible thing they did. It probably never happened before. At least nobody got caught doing it. But they used the intelligence agencies of our country to spy on my campaign, and they have been caught. And there are a lot of people involved. I don't want to say how much she's involved. Frankly, if he chooses her, that's fine, but that's a potential liability. We'll see. But President Obama knew about it. Joe Biden knew about it. Comey knew about it. Brennan, Clapper, the whole group, they all knew about it. Lisa Page, her lover Strzok, they all knew about it. And we have it documented. We have it in texts. We have it in all sorts of forms. They knew about it. It was a terrible thing. Should have never happened and should never be allowed to happen again to a president. This should never happen again. This was a setup like we've never seen. I think it's the political crime of the century. And they've been caught. So let's see what happens to them all. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism. And what is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation. Well, isn't this the liberal philosophy? The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Their 2020 platform sounds identical to policies already tried and now failing in the collapsed socialist state of Venezuela.
You know, it's funny, sometimes American journalists talk about how bad a country is because people are lining up for food. That's a good thing.
I believe it will totally eliminate private insurance. So for people out there who like their insurance, well, they don't get to...
Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
Abolish ICE. It's a growing call from Democrats to get rid of the agency that arrests and removes illegal immigrants in the U.S.
I think we should get rid of ICE. We need to probably think about starting from scratch.
Why is it good for us to pay for the health care bills of people who snuck in here against our law?
It's good for people who are in our country, who are contributing to this country's success.
Or does it also apply to, I don't know, gang members or vagrants? I think they were covered too, weren't they?
These hot-button issues like free college, free healthcare, once thought to be radical, appear to be the starting line in this Democratic primary.
The three core demands of the National Day of Action are free public college, a cancellation of student debt, and a $15 an hour minimum wage for people who work on the campus.
And how's that going to be paid?
Great question. I mean, you know, so...
Do you call yourself a radical?
Yeah, you know, if that's what radical means, call me a radical.
Nancy Pelosi. Do you recognize her as the leader for the House Democrats?
Of course.
As you are aware, we are diligent.
I think one way you get rid of Trump is a crashing economy. So please, bring on the recession. Sorry if that hurts people.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, you get out and you tell them they're not welcome.
When they go low, we kick them.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar under attack for anti-Semitic tweets.
Can you respond to that?
No, thank you.
You used the term the occupation of Palestine. What did you mean by that? I think what I meant is like the settlements that are increasing. I am not the expert.
They are the future face of the Democratic Party. They are not only anti-Israel, but often that anti-Zionism morphs into anti-Semitism.
Either the Klansman or the guy in blackface is right now the Democratic governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam.
Northam's nickname was a racial slur.
They called me Coon Man. I did participate in a dance contest in which I darkened my face as part of a Michael Jackson costume. I actually won the contest because I had learned how to do the moonwalk. My wife says inappropriate circumstances.
Tonight!
Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts with a DNA test to prove her Native American ancestry.
Her DNA test claiming she's part Native American appears to be backfiring.
Tonight, the leaders of the Cherokee Nation are speaking out against Senator Elizabeth Warren's campaign video touting her Native American ancestry.
Have you considered dropping out of the race?
You're talking about zero carbon emissions, no use of fossil fuels within 12 years.
That is the goal. It's ambitious. And
how is that possible? You're talking about everybody having to drive an electric car?
Admitting in earlier drafts that, quote, we aren't sure that we'll be able to fully get rid of farting cows and airplanes that fast.
I really don't like their policy of taking away your car, of taking away your airplane flights, of let's hop a train. You're not allowed to own cows anymore. You know, there are a lot of problems.
It was stunning how quickly some Democrats jumped on this proposal.
We need to be bold. Oh, it's impractical. Oh, it's too expensive.
Keeping track of Democrats who might be driving a hard left, and a lot of them happy to do so.
Socialism is apparently becoming mainstream.
America will never be a socialist country. Never. We're born free, we will live free, and we will die free.
This has been they try like hell. They cannot stand what we've done. But we're doing the right thing. And I will never, ever, ever let you down.
We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again.
4 more days. Lock and load.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, live from Pittsburgh Studio number 1, it's Cold War Radio. Here's your host, Hutch Bailey Jr.
All right, we made it to the end of another week, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and thank you for choosing Cold War Radio, the Cold War Radio patron hotline, 412-206-6208, the voicemail, 412-567-1460. Please visit SteelCityResistance.com. Become a Cold War Radio patron there. You can also catch the research room, the video 2 page that houses all the videos, most of the videos of the audio clips we play on the radio. If you'd like to write to the program, please write to Cold War Radio, P.O. Box 10433, 370 Castle Shannon Boulevard, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15234. All right, let's swing over to the other Commonwealth in the area, a Commonwealth where the U.S. Marshals just rescued 27 more trafficked children. Welcome, Jack. Hello.
Hello, Hutch. Hello, everyone tuned in on Spreaker, and a big high five to those folks in the Spreaker Cold War Radio BFW chat room. I mean, like as we talked right before the show, it's like almost like deep breath time, a nice relax. You know, we're gonna, after we get done with tonight's show, we've done what we can do to help get the president reelected, and then we just wait on the Americans to show up on Tuesday, right? So,
yeah, I don't think anybody in this audience is going to not vote. So I'm gonna change it up a little bit. We were talking before the show, and I was thinking before the show, I was talking to my wife, and I told her, you know, I know there's corruption, and I know there's corporate media corruption, but this man should get all the electoral votes. There's not one reason, in my mind, even if I was objective, when you look at the achievements that this man has executed, I mean, it's pretty damn amazing, the things he's done already.
Yeah, what he's been able to accomplish
while under fire. Yeah,
opposed by not only the opposing party, not also including the entire mainstream media, it also includes nearly half of his own party.
Indeed, it does. And, you know, I was thinking about this, too, and thinking, man, this is unprecedented. And then I remembered, this is not unprecedented. We have to go back to 30,000 feet. We were betrayed by the Republican Party, folks. We were absolutely 100% betrayed by them. I started thinking about this, and I realized my knowledge doesn't go back past Woodrow Wilson on this subject, so there might have been something before him. But as far as I know, the Democrats have been trying to do this since him. Mm-hmm. I mean, they segregated the federal government workforce. They segregated the United States military. You know, they're the ones that preached racism. I mean, it was, you look back at that, and then you look a little bit closer, and you look at Ronald Reagan. And what did they do with Ronald Reagan? We keep talking about the deep state. You talk about the deep state. I remembered a couple episodes.
They did to Ronald Reagan. They shot him.
Well, they did that, and but they also made sure that George H.W. Bush was his vice president, was right there. And Caspar Weinberger and Brett Scowcroft, all these deep state people. I didn't have enough time. I almost pulled a clip that I used years ago of retired Navy Admiral Lyons when he called out the Defense Department for screwing Reagan when we were dealing with the Iranians. So this isn't new. Yeah. It's just that this is the first guy strong enough to do anything about it. And we're right up to the edge, man. All they're doing is gaining. They've been gaining since Wilson because of the Republican Party.
Well, I think that President Trump is the first president since Reagan who, and I give Trump a lot more credit as far as brains. He's been involved watching politics his entire adult life. If you look back on his appearances in the 80s on shows, and they ask him, and I mean, they were asking him when he was, in his 30s, are you going to run for president? And at the time, he's like, no. But you listen to his principles and his love for the country, and they echo true from that day till he stepped down the escalator in 2015 to announce his candidacy. All of the things that he was preaching and talking about as far as our geopolitical and our position in the world and how the government's being run has been pretty steady the whole time, you know?
It has.
And when he got here, he was ready for it.
He was almost ready for it. I don't think he was ready for it. I think he hurt himself severely by allowing Reince Priebus and the RNC and people like Pence to fill up his cabinet with enemies. Because that's exactly what happened. I mean, that is exactly what happened. And Pence shares a little guilt there. Now, it's obviously been reconciled, but it is what it is. The man in his 70s, next week, or from now on, 5 rallies a day, Jack. Trump rally schedule announced for final days of campaign. 5 rallies a day. And you know they're an hour and a half.
That takes us back to 2016. I remember it was like, holy mackerel. I remember the last day. What was it? 1 a.m.
Yeah,
election day that he
Detroit
finished in
or Michigan somewhere, or Wisconsin, one of them. Yeah, I remember that, and it mattered. Today was excellent. Today, I'll talk about it when I get to it. I got it down the line a little bit. But so you have that, and then you contrast that with now it's not Biden-Harris rallies. It's Obama-Biden rallies, Obama-Biden Michigan rallies closed to the public, locations being kept secret. Mm-hmm. Now, you know why that is. Because Trump forces keep showing up at the rallies. 20-1, what's at the rally for Biden? That's amazing. I mean, there's an article today in the Conservative Treehouse that's just too long to bring on the show, but it basically goes through some of the things that are going on right now that are unprecedented. You know, there's Trump rallies sparking up organically everywhere. Trump's nowhere near them. And these car rallies and boat rallies and even marches and parades. It's amazing.
Where is it? Beverly Hills had thousands of people there. They had the Hollywood folks freaking out. 911, help! There's a lot of MAGA going on here.
Yeah,
I'm afraid for my life. But, you know,
all they had to do is come
who on
out.
the Democratic side thought it was a good idea to have sound bites of like Biden is, you know, he has escaped containment and he's running around in highway traffic because all you hear is,
oh, wow.
get out of
How
the street.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. The whole thing is. And you have I heard a report earlier today. By the way, prayers to Rush Limbaugh. I was listening to his show earlier, and I don't listen to the whole thing one end to the other. I have it on in my shop, and I move around different places in the house. And I was sitting there for the last hour, and it was a recording of his rally with President Trump last week. And I'm thinking, man, that was a long thing, man. How long? I wonder what happened. I hope everything's all right. Here, he had to leave the show because of his illness. So prayers to him. But I heard
He's battling.
Yeah, he is. I heard someone on his show from the Trafalgar Group, which is the group of pollsters that got it right last year, and they're the only ones that said Trump's winning this year. At least they're starting to change their tune now, but consistently. And he said that he's starting to see the youth vote move the needle. And he said that it's predominantly, believe it or not, for Trump. And he explained it that when young people watch that rally, not the rally, the debate, one side was saying, open up and set me free, and the other side was saying, lock me down and put a mask on me. And they said the kids aren't having that. And I don't blame them.
Coming upon you. Dark winter.
Yeah, a dark winter.
And it's also, you know, I think each of us, as we're going through our teens, you get that rebellious side that whatever the status quo is, then right now the status quo for the teenagers and the college kids is the cancel culture.
Yeah.
So if you're going to rebel against that, who are you going to vote for? You're going to vote for President Trump.
Yeah, I mean, and just natural things. I mean, these kids want to date again. You know, they want to go out dancing again and everything. You know, it's child abuse what we put these kids through, man. It really is. But anyway, so there's that. We'll see what happens. I just want to say something here. I don't really have to say this, I know, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you're really afraid of this virus and you see people like Gavin Newsom putting out these rules about Thanksgiving and all this disgusting garbage, if you see one of your neighbors, if you see a family near you that has put their thumb to their nose and said, screw you, Governor Fascist, I'm going to have my family over, don't be a rat. Don't call the government on him. The governor is not your friend. The governor is not somebody that will help you change a tire in your car. Your neighbor will, though. So just think of that going forward. We don't want to turn into a country full of rats. The left is already doing that. And I just felt like I wanted to say that.
Big time. You see it a lot on the internet too, with the folks finding out who is who and posting up. You know, I mean, how many folks that the cancel culture people don't agree with? Well, they think it's a good idea. We have their address, so they go and protest or do something at those people's houses. You know, that's not America.
No, and that's what they're talking about
Nazi,
doing.
You know, that's Nazi tech.
East Germany. Yeah. I mean, this is what they're talking about doing after the election. They're talking about doing this to congressmen, to judges, to police officers, probably to journalists. But we'll get to that. We got a lot of that on hand for you tonight. I don't know if you were following the story the other night. Tucker Carlson interviewed Bo Blesky, the Biden business partner, and I don't think he said it during the interview, but afterwards, the next day, I found out that his producer mailed documents from New York out to Hollywood or Los Angeles, and they never showed up. No, the envelope showed up with nothing in it.
Right.
And then UPS found it. And I haven't heard anything further than that. What I did hear was that they said they didn't know why, or they wouldn't tell them.
What it was is supposedly damning evidence or whatever, but it was copied. It was a USB stick that was in an overnight thing that was going to be shipped from New York to LA. And they actually, when UPS found it, they found it in their New York facility. So it never even left the envelope left.
That's Fox News all day long. Fox News all day long.
It left there, and a UPS employee found it. And actually, this is according to UPS. They found it in the facility and then put the USB stick on their supervisor's desk. And even though they searched and stuff, they didn't realize it till the next day, till the supervisor came in and said, what is this? And I guess it finally got hashed out. That's what it was. Now, do we believe that?
I was getting ready to say, I don't buy that, man.
Yeah.
Because if they're out there looking for that USB stick, somebody knew that somebody put it there.
Yeah. There was, it's like he said, there was just copies of what we have. So it's not like that was everything.
Right.
And he's getting attacked big time, but I'm sure you know that.
Yeah, but I mean, he's doing his job. I mean, the rest of these people they're committing crimes, in my opinion. I mean, I don't think it's going to end well. I don't, unless Biden gets elected. And then I still don't know how it's going to end if that happens, because I don't know about you, but I'm going to believe my lying eyes. I'm not going to believe a vote count with some mail-in votes. I'm sorry. I mean, but it just goes to emphasize that we really need to get out there on the 3rd. Those of us that haven't voted already.
You talk about my state, Virginia, where we watched in 2016, where Trump was like way ahead of Hillary Clinton.
2016, 2012, 28.
Big time. Until the very end. The very end, whatever was needed by the Democrats was received by the Democrats in Virginia.
But that can only work in a small, close race. It can't work in a blowout. It's something you got to remember. It's impossible to work in a blowout. There's only so many people in this country. And you can't generate past that. I mean, we'll see what happens. Who knows? Who the hell knows? It's like I said, this guy should be sailing to an easy victory. The Democrats shouldn't even have put up opposition. But that's
they didn't. They put up Biden. Yeah. This is like, what the hell?
That's another embarrassing thing, too, man. How would you who came up with that, man,
He was the one that even the Democrats were saying, no, he's old. We got fresh new faces, right? We got Pete.
They were talking about his business dealings during the primary.
Right.
Now all of a sudden he's the patriarch.
They were talking about Avenatti, right? He'd be a great candidate. Yeah. Then Cuomo, the governor of New York. And then all of a sudden we're stuck with Biden.
So this Bobulinski, Representative Ro Khanna, I don't think there's any American representatives in California. This guy looks like he's, I don't know, Nepalese.
Nunez is American.
When I say American, I'm being a prick here. The guy's American. But everybody's a freaking American. Ilhan Omar is a freaking American. Give me a break. So this Ro Khanna, Democrat California, vouched for the credibility of Hunter Biden's former business partner, Tony Bobulinski, who has alleged that former Vice President Joe Biden, no, he didn't allege. He gave you proof that Joe Biden was intimately involved in the shady business dealings of his son, which weren't the business dealings of his son. They were Biden's business dealings. Hunter is only a bag man. Those are my words. Despite his claims of ignorance, Fox News' John Roberts posted an October 2020 email from Khanna to Bobulinski, a former Navy lieutenant, that said, Tony, hope you're doing okay. I did give an on-the-record statement to the New York Times that I know you. You've always acted honorably with me, and you and other family members supported me. I've told any media outlets that have asked the same thing. Khanna also said he told those outlets that he respected Bobulinski's service to the nation, that he has never been a partisan hack in their interactions, and that he does not think he is a Russian agent. So that was welcome from a Democrat. That's like a Democrat from the old days. I mean, the guy's a Democrat.
Bobulinski is a Democrat as well. He spent 5 hours with the FBI this week.
I bet he's not anymore. I bet he's not anymore.
But the weird thing was Fox News, John Roberts, he posted an email from today, according to the way this is written in here, an email from Khanna to Bobulinski that he mailed him today, and John Roberts had it and shared it.
Imagine that.
I mean, does that mean Bobulinski's just handing it right over to John Roberts? I don't know.
I don't know. It's possible. Or
strange.
maybe, I don't know. That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I do know that Bobulinski was sat down with the FBI for over 5 hours, and I think it was yesterday that the FBI Department of Justice announced that there has been and there is an ongoing money laundering investigation into Hunter Biden.
But I mean, now, all right. Let's talk about that. If you're the FBI, and your responsibility is law enforcement at the federal level, and you have all this evidence in front of you of a person that is running for president of the United States, whose vice president is listed as one of his key business contacts, don't you think that's something that would require a news conference at least? Or indictments? Or a declaration that the man is not able to be president? He's not qualified due to this activity.
Right. You would think that the highest law office in the land that's protecting the federal government, which is the office that he's trying to gain, which is the same with Hillary Clinton in 2016.
Same.
Because both times the Department of Justice spokespeople came out and said, once we get within 6 weeks of Election Day, we don't like to we like to suspend any kind of activity involving any candidate. And I'm like, you had this guy's laptop for over a year.
Exactly.
So why wouldn't you have already announced it and said from the get-go and let the American people know that this guy's crooked as the day is long, you know?
I think this is one of our most pressing issues.
Somebody else.
It's one of our most pressing issues, the FBI. The whole DOJ. But I mean, it has to be day one job. And day two job has to be to clean up the electoral process. I mean, if we don't do that, all this is for moot. They're going to, at some point in time, there's going to be somebody in that office that is not as strong as Trump.
Full on assault against our country from the inside.
That's exactly what it is.
This is not from enemies foreign. This is all domestic enemies trying to destroy this country.
And make no mistake about it, if they win, they're going to want revenge. They're going to want revenge, and it's going to be ugly. Make no mistake about that. I'm not trying to put fear in anybody's heart because I don't think we need to. I think we're strong enough.
You got a story coming up, which is like a hint of the future.
Exactly.
Should they gain power?
That's exactly right. Let's go first to a phenomenon that has stricken left-minded white people. Professor Kelly Sharp of Furman University in Greenville, South Kakalaki, resigned this week after an anonymous blogger accused her of lying about her race. Sharp is the latest in a group of white academics that have dishonestly claimed a minority heritage. According to a report by Inside Higher Ed, Professor Kelly Keene Sharp resigned from her post at Furman University this week after an anonymous blogger accused Sharp of lying about her ethnic background. Sharp had described herself as Chicana on her Twitter bio, a term used to describe females of Mexican descent. At one point, Sharp allegedly participated as a panelist at an event at Luther College, during which panelists discussed their experience as Latino Americans. Professor Sharp's racial identity was first questioned in an anonymous blog post that was published on Medium.com on Tuesday. The anonymous blogger conducted research into Sharp's family history and found no indication that Sharp had Hispanic ancestors.
Did she write a cookbook?
She's a cucaracha. What a cucaracha.
She watched Speedy Gonzalez as a child.
I know. It's I don't know what's up with that. I'm glad I like myself, man. I'm just glad I'm cool with who I am.
I mean, you see more and more of that, but it's not surprising that all of the examples that I have seen or heard of or witnessed are all on the left. And the left is the ones that created this, this division by creating categories of people and trying to, put different groups of people as victims and then open up, like universities, you have a quota, you had government, you had a quota to hire this group, this group, this group, this group, this group, exclude this. Like I know some of the Ivy League schools, they were some of the most advanced academics and the SAT scores were Asians. Right. But they were like, wait a minute, we can't let that's like a culture for them and their parents. Is like, if you're not getting straight A's, you don't get to watch
Tiger Moms. Tiger Moms.
Big time. So they create quotas, and now you see a lot where the Asians are saying, well, we're being discriminated against.
There's actually a lawsuit from the DOJ against, I think it's Yale, if I'm not mistaken. There's a affirmative action discrimination lawsuit that they're discriminating against whites and Asians. It's amazing. I hope something happens for that. It needs to backfire on them. Another backfire happened. Ben Carson was talking to a group.
Dr. Ben.
And there was a Trump sign, so it must have been some kind of rally. But apparently Trevor Noah, one of those Don Lemon type guys, I think he's at NBC or one of them. I don't know where he's from.
He's Australian, I believe.
Is he? He told a joke, and Ben Carson kind of talks about it. Let's listen to Dr. Carson.
Every one of us has a sphere of influence. There are people you can talk to. They always say you're not supposed to talk to people about religion or politics. Wrong. That's exactly what you're supposed to be talking. Talk to your family on Thanksgiving, on any other time you talk to your family, you talk to your neighbors, you talk to your coworkers about the things that are important to you. Not about sports and entertainment. I mean, that's okay, but really, is that what life is all about? Doesn't matter that much if you can sink a basketball. I was listening to one of the news programs this morning, and LeBron James was saying something about, would you ask Ben Carson to play basketball? Well, I wouldn't ask him to do neurosurgery. I
we have humor on our side, man. These people are so angry and miserable.
He's even mild when he's like giving the cutback. Dr. Penn
awesome.
is so smooth. He's a smooth man right there.
That's who I wanted to be president. I don't know if he'd have lasted, but I still wanted him. I didn't realize that our country
he's learned
was so
a lot during these 4 years. I think
Trump has too.
Does it? He'll be ready for it.
I think Trump does too, man. He's learned a lot. He was at his rally today, and it was pretty cool. I'll get to that. I gotta have a little self-discipline here. So Florida is tripping out a little bit. Frederica Wilson, the Democrat powerhouse in Miami-Dade, kind of went off.
Trayvon, right? Trayvon.
She's the one with the cowboy hat.
Right.
The big red cowboy hat. But she is also a pimp. In other words, politics is a business. And Democrats and Republicans both have business dealings with politics and elections. And a lot of it has to do with DNC and RNC money coming into the local Democrat district, who Frederica Wilson is in charge of who gets on the list to get paid for getting out the vote efforts and things like that, churches and businesses and things like that. And she's in charge of telling the people who's on the list to get paid, and then she requires a 10 to 20% kickback that goes right into her bank account. And Republicans do the exact same thing. Well, the Biden administration, the Biden campaign decided we're not sending any money down to Miami. So she gets on Politico and starts doing a hit job on the DNC to try to get them to send money. That's all it's about.
Where's my money?
That's pretty much it. But let's listen to CNN lamenting the problem.
See explosive election day turnout. You could imagine the folks in Trump headquarters saying, we still have a shot here, because that's where his voters plan to participate.
The one place that may defy your math and logic, David, is Miami-Dade County in Florida. So what I think the numbers are showing is that many more Republicans have already gone in person to vote in early voting than Democrats. And Congresswoman Frederica Wilson of that district is trying to sound the alarm. She talked to Politico and said that what she's seeing is very concerning for her. She has said, let me quote it to you, I screamed, hollered, I called,
Where's
I
my
lobbied
money?
From the top to the bottom. Wilson said of her efforts to get to the turnout operation started in the community, including sending written proposals to the Biden campaign and having virtual Zoom meetings with his advisors. She is worried because what she's seeing, she says, in terms of the black community and Hispanic, it's not going Biden's way.
Yeah, listen, and Democrats don't win the state of Florida usually without real increased turnout in Miami-Dade. It's one of their base counties. But here's the reality. First of all, Joe Biden does not need Florida. It's not a must-have in his column to get to 270. It is for Donald Trump a must-have. I mean, you could get Donald Trump to 270 without it, Allison, but it is really you sort of have to sort of upend all that you believe to be true to get him to 270 without Florida.
And just a little CNN translation there. Increased voter turnout in Miami-Dade means voter fraud, folks. That's what that means. You know, it's not rocket science. That's what's going on here. So anyway, it's good to see. And that's the results of both of those things we talked about earlier, the Hispanic and the black vote. I mean, that's the district that it is.
Did you see how they're spinning the GDP numbers for the third quarter?
Yeah, and you know what? It's kind of if you're talking about the same thing I'm thinking of, it's kind of true. It's kind of true. What happened? No, but, yeah. You know, we had a massive amount of the stock market was devalued, or gross domestic product was gone.
Right. It was shut
down.
And
we started it back up, and we got about 75% of it back, I think is what the words were. But it was still the biggest growth ever.
It's the V that the president was talking about. Our comeback is a V. The downside was when he had to shut it down, and even now he still regrets it. You know, but he said, I listened to the the experts, the Faucis and the Burks and those folks, and he shut it down, and then he's like, boom, then it's up to the states, open it back up. And
do you follow Andrew Dice?
He's he has California guy.
I don't know where he's from, but he does these short videos.
Yeah,
and he came
Mark
out.
Dice.
Mark Dice. There you go. Yeah. He came out, dude with the funny haircut. Got the right. He's got the he got the Zuckerberg haircut, but he came out and said that the October surprise, he wouldn't be surprised if it was Fauci coming out endorsing Biden. I'm like, go ahead, man. Everybody hates that guy.
Yeah, and he about has,
Oh, he has.
He's been going on all these TV shows instead of being a medical expert. Even he was saying something about politics.
Yeah,
I'm like, learn how to throw a baseball before you go out there and throw the first pitch, you little.
And tell everybody to put their mask on and take yours off.
Yeah.
What a scumbag. That guy, I don't like him at all. I don't like any of them. Any of those. That's
the epitome of the swamp, or a liberal elite telling us what to do and then doing exactly the opposite.
Mario Cuomo's friend. I mean, he told on CNN, he told everybody, and Chris asked him, "Why do I know you, Tony Fauci?" He said, "Because I've known you your whole life. Even when you were a kid, you're a friend." I mean, so he's a friend with.
Tell you to stop picking your nose, you little shit.
He's really obnoxious, that guy.
Yeah.
Cuomo is obnoxious, man. I'm telling you, I can't stand people like him.
Fauci, you can tell he's very short with people. And where's he at? NIH? Is that where he's at?
Yeah. At NIH. The CDC's under that, I think. But I have no time for that guy. Now, this is really bad right here. And it's not getting very much attention. Democrat vice presidential candidate Senator Kamala Harris made an unannounced stop in Metro Detroit last weekend and followed up with an interview with Dearborn, as in Dearbornistan, based Arab American News, published Wednesday, where she shared her support for reinstating aid to Palestinians in Israel and for reopening the Palestinian Liberation Organization. That's the PLO. For those of you younger, that is a terrorist organization founded and run by Yasser Arafat back in the day, one of the Clintons' buddies, and caused most of the damage that's happened in the Middle East with help of Hamas and Hezbollah. Reopening the PLO mission office in Washington, D.C., and the U.S. consulate in Jerusalem. Harris said of herself and Democrat presidential candidate, former Vice President Joe Biden, "Joe and I also believe in the worth and value of every Palestinian and every Israeli, and we will work to ensure that Palestinians and Israelis enjoy equal measures of freedom, security, prosperity, and democracy. We are committed to a two-state solution, and we will oppose any unilateral steps that undermine that goal. We will also oppose annexation and settlement expansion." Now, let me just talk about that because I'm not using that damn word unpack. I hate that. So I want to talk about this a little bit. We know why the president was successful in the Middle East in 3 countries so far and growing, right? We know that the reason that is because he took the quote-unquote Palestinians out of the equation. They're not allowed to come to the meetings. They don't care about them because it's a fake state. It's not a real state. They are nomadic Jordanians that no one else will let them live in their own country. So they wander around and they try to say that Israel's theirs. Well, look at where the peace got brokered. And these people want to reverse all that. Make no mistake. If you're a Democrat and you're Jewish, you're a fool. I'm just saying. All you have to do is open your eyes. These people are against you. It's as bad as being a black American and being a Democrat. I mean, I don't know how they hypnotize you people. I actually do. I had a guest on, a Jewish man, that basically claimed that it had to do, I shouldn't even go down this road because I'm not going to remember how it went, but it was something about Jesus and Christians and I don't know. It's ridiculous, though, what it is. I shouldn't say that. It's somebody else's belief.
I don't know. Was it FDR because of World War II?
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm not sure, but it's something that
you had
it's
Truman
baffling.
After that, Truman was president when Israel became.
Yeah, 1947.
So I don't know.
And that wasn't a done deal either. That wasn't a slam dunk either.
No.
By the way, that took some work. It took from 1945 to 1947. But anyway, so that's what you got, man. I mean, these people come in there, they're going to tear everything up. They are going to just reverse everything.
That's one huge contrast that folks considering Biden and President Trump can look at. You figure Biden with Obama what did they do? They accomplished the Arab Spring, complete and total chaos across the Arab region from North Africa, Tunisia, all the way into Syria.
And let's talk about that. What did they do? The administration, including Clapper, Brennan, the intelligence community, the military, and everybody, Hillary Clinton, they set out and achieved it almost. They tried to knock out every secular government in the Middle East, in Muslim majority countries. And it almost worked. I mean, I don't know how you would forget them, but those demonstrations in Cairo, that was earth-shattering.
Tunisia, they just accepted Gaddafi. No matter what you think about him, his country was in pretty good shape.
He's one of the best leaders in the Middle East when it comes to Libyans.
Took out Libya, and then it went boom. Yemen.
They tried to take Jordan out. They took Assad out in Syria. I mean, everywhere they were trying to start a freaking caliphate.
Yes, they did.
Americans.
It was ISIS. It was started.
Americans, yeah. And then they went on with John McCain and funded him. Yeah. I mean, I looked at videos back during that time frame, and McCain must have sent them so many tow missiles, they were shooting them at little Toyota trucks, Jack.
Obama pulled out of Iraq and ISIS, or what became the caliphate in Syria, swooped in and took all of the brand new American-made equipment that was supposed to be for the Iraq army defense of the country, right? They bailed. They took it because you saw the footage. And if you saw Songbird going over there, he said, "I'm with the Free Syrian Army." And you see photographs. That's al-Baghdadi.
Indeed.
This is so-and-so. This is so-and-so.
The Free Syrian Army
there with him.
The Free Syrian Army got raped like a child in prison. I mean, and McCain and McDoodle, what was his name out in Nevada?
Meg McMullin.
Yeah, McMullin. Right? Yeah. He's in pictures with him. So guess who else is in pictures with him? Not Hickenlooper. What's that guy's name in Congress? Kinzinger.
Yeah, Adam
Kinzinger was with him too. You know, I don't know about these people, but anyway,
too many damn CIA folks that are lurking around in politics. We have one Spanberger in Richmond that's proudly proclaiming it. You have Pete Buttigieg, who's actually Army, CIA associated folks.
You want to talk about Pete Buttigieg? Look up his father. Just go to Google and type Pete Buttigieg's father, and look what he was. He was the grand poobah of the communists that followed Gramsci, which is one of the Italian founders of communism. And he was the president of the Gramsci Association. Straight up communist, card carrying. You know, it's unreal. It really is. It's freaking. I didn't know he was in the CIA, but I don't doubt it.
You're voting for either the United States of America or you're voting
China
to end the country.
That's right.
Next Tuesday.
I mean, a stupid actress just came out and said as much. Lady Gaga said, who, by the way, I think she's on Biden's laptop. I'll just leave it at that. But she even came out and said, vote for Biden if you want a country different from this one today. And it's like, yeah, okay, no thanks. All right, so let's have some fun. Although it's not really fun, I took the liberty, this is a very short clip, but I took the liberty to play it or record it, to loop it 3 times, because I really want you to hear this word that he said. This is, the word is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 letters long. All right? But you're never going to forget this.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true and international effort to pressure. I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true and international effort to pressure. I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true and international effort to pressure.
That's abuse, man. That's abuse.
Oh my goodness! Is that his mind trying to catch up with the teleprompter that's going too fast for his?
Yeah, I think he was trying to say Trump international pressure or something. I don't know, but it just didn't work.
I remember one
Nothing
yesterday.
works.
He's like, we need to stop this division and addition by division and discourse. I don't like.
I mean,
division,
multiplication.
addition,
No, subtraction.
Yeah.
It's something.
You heard me. Come on, man. And he's sitting there yelling and screaming to a crowd
3 cars.
of either 20 people in circles in front of him, or I think the max was like 200 cars. And they were sitting there. We had to calculate because we figure there's 3 people in each vehicle.
Yeah.
So we're figuring 200 times. There was at least 600 people there. And we're like, okay, all right.
What do you think the people, like, obviously there are some deeply serious, intelligent people in the Democrat machine. What do you think they're talking about over drinks?
I'm not quite sure.
You know, what are they? Are they panicking? Are they embarrassed?
Some of them are. Some of them are. Because of what they call the internal polls.
Yeah.
And to me, the internal polls, I'm like, what is that? Is that because you called up people? I mean, I don't trust any of the polls, right?
No, but they hire people that are taking fair samples, and the polls that you see outside are voter suppression. They're designed, they're designed to make you think a certain way.
Push polls trying to either drive people to the polls or to push people away. Like, especially during this last week, they're trying with their, Biden's up by 8 points, trying to get the Trump folks saying, well,
and they're coupling that.
Our state's already, lost. And it's
they're coupling that with the COVID porn, with the fear porn. They're trying to get you to think that this second wave is coming and it's going to kill everybody. And it's just not true. Don't buy it. Don't buy it, folks. Look at the death count. Look at the death count. It doesn't matter how many cases there are. But you know that. I'm not going to.
Yeah. What was it? It was 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. It was nonstop rioting across different cities. Was Portland, Seattle. You didn't hear too much about COVID as this and what the numbers were. These last week and a half, every night is like, as soon as Biden said on the debate, dark winter is coming. Dark winter. You started hearing this. Boom. COVID's out of control. Numbers, the positives are way up. Deaths are this. And it's just, like you said, it's trying to scare people that, that are already halfway conditioned to listening to the media, whether it's a daytime view to their local news, which is scripted across the nation, to the cable networks. Besides very few on Fox News, and there's Newsmax, maybe OAN, but who else? Who has that?
I don't know. It's around now. This is a battleground state in Pennsylvania, so I swear they've been leading every 15-minute news break with the COVID numbers. The local media has.
I'm surprised they don't have a little ticker on the bottom. Remember,
they do.
They do. Terror alert.
They have it. Almost every station has it. CNN has it. Fox News puts it up every now and then. Fox News is a real disappointment. It really is. It's sad, man. It's something. I mean, you can't.
Paul Ryan's in the board, and
I mean, how in the hell is a USB drive that's delivered to the UPS? The envelope gets cut open, and the USB device gets taken out, and the letter goes forward. I mean, come on, that's Fox News.
Well, think about it. They might have put it out like that because don't you think that you would have a secure email server if you have the documents on a USB drive? They're digital. So wouldn't they be digitized in the computer that put it on that USB drive? Why can't you just send the email to Tucker?
I don't know. Not sure.
Why involve UPS in the first place?
They probably weren't even concerned. You know, they probably didn't think anything of it. It's not labeled that this is Biden material.
I know, but when he first came out and said it was the documents. All right, then you're thinking, okay, there's a pile of documents.
And I was thinking that.
And then when he came out and said it was a USB drive, I'm like, why would you even have bothered with, physical mail? Just digitally send it.
Send it to the Fox affiliate out there.
Or why isn't it on their secure cloud and he could just pop in and look at it like what we use, know?
I don't know. I don't know. Not sure. But there's a new survey out, little sanity here, that the National Basketball Association is now seen more like a political organization pushing the Black Lives Matter agenda, with most saying they no longer think of the league as a sport. The survey, conducted by Reality Check Insights and discussed recently in an interview with Outkick, finds that fans think of the NBA as a political organization that sometimes plays basketball. And I can't wait until every basketball player is on welfare, Jack. I mean, it's just, I really mean that. I do. I think that they are some of the luckiest pigs on the planet. And for them to turn against the hand that feeds them like that. Well, on the other hand, I've heard stories that the Chinese market is bigger than the American market. So I think where they really should do is they should go to Beijing.
All right.
The whole damn league. Let it go there, and we just won't even do basketball here. Or we'll start another league. It's
why start a league? We got a country to save first.
That's true. That's true. That's true. But I really have no sympathy for any of these people. None of them. I think it's
you could say that the major sports got so co-opted and used to having to have the big corporate money, right? Sponsors for their teams, stadium efforts, whatever, in order to pay these astronomical salaries to these players, that they had to bow down to them, And we've already talked about it. It's not just the Democrats that Trump's fighting. It's not half of the Republicans he's fighting. It's not the media. It's not the top tier folks on the internet. It's also the top corporate entities.
Yeah.
The Nikes, the Coca-Colas, all of them who actually fund a lot of the efforts of these pro sports teams. If they say, well, we're pulling our sponsorship for your stadium, that hurts the team. So maybe they're getting pressure from both ways. I don't know, but
I know one thing. You've heard about the Biden camp, like almost exponentially outspending the Trump camp, and you can thank the NBA for that. You can thank the NBA. You can thank the NFL, because they all gave millions of dollars to Black Lives Matter, and that money, as we talked about before, all goes back to the Democrat Party. So there's the reason.
Wasn't it Antifa.org that actually went directly to the Biden
website?
Campaign
The website did, but on the Black Lives Matter side, the blue.gov or something, there was some.
It goes to Act Blue.
Act Blue, and that goes right to the DNC.
You're talking about a spider. You talk about laundering money to get it into the campaign coffers of the Democrats.
Yeah, well, we need to
look at what they do.
We need to create a federal law enforcement agency. It should be called like the Federal Bureau of Investigation or something. We need to create something like that to protect us against this.
That's a wonderful, a Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Yeah,
should it be legal for a guy, a billionaire like Michael Bloomberg,
or George Soros,
$100 million in Florida or $100 million in Virginia to elect the people that he wants, and the guy doesn't even live
$300 million
or Florida.
$300 million in Virginia and Pennsylvania to take our Second Amendment right away.
Right.
I mean, he's bad all the way around. Ladies and gentlemen, your weekly jihad report: 35 jihad attacks, 210 killed, 220 injured, 0 suicide blasts, all in 9 countries. The Religion of Peace atrocity of the week, Paris-Nice, France. From Reuters, a knife-wielding Tunisian man shouting Allahu Akbar beheaded a woman and killed 2 other people in a church in the French city of Nice on Thursday before being shot and taken away by police. Other recent misunderstandings of Islam. On the 29th in Bangladesh, a mentally ill man is dragged from a mosque and lynched by a mob over rumor of Quran desecration. On the 29th in France, a 60-year-old woman is beheaded in a church and 2 others stabbed to death, including a mother of 2 by a Quran-carrying migrant shouting praises to Allah. On the 29th in India, 3 politicians are assassinated by Pakistani-backed militants. On the 28th in the DRC, ADF Islamists burn a church and slaughter 19 innocents in an atrocious way. On the 27th in Iraq, enterprising jihadis shoot dead a shepherd and then kill 4 other members of his family with 2 bombs. And finally, on the 27th in Pakistan, hardliners send ball bearings and shrapnel through a rival Quran school, killing 8. The Religion of Peace, ladies and gentlemen, one body at a time.
Allahu Akbar, Allah.
All right, let's continue on with that a little bit. On Thursday morning, a Muslim man entered the Notre Dame Basilica in Nice. Was I supposed to go Notre Dame Basilica in Nice, armed with a knife, and proceeded to kill 3 people, including the church sacristan. I don't know, never saw that word. Shouting Allahu Akbar as he attacked his victims. The assailant was eventually apprehended by French police and is now in the hospital with gunshot wounds sustained during the encounter. France's National Anti-Terrorist Prosecution announced the opening of an investigation for assassination and attempted assassination in connection with a terrorist enterprise and criminal terrorist association, French media reported. The mayor of Nice, Christian Estrosi, wrote on Twitter that all indications are that the incident was in fact a terrorist act. For his part, Pope Francis also expressed his closeness to the Catholic community of Nice, joining in mourning after the attack, which sowed death in a place of prayer and consolation. I pray for the victims, for their families, and for the beloved French people so that they can respond to evil with good, he also wrote on Twitter. On Thursday, the pontiff sent a telegram to the Catholic Bishop of Nice saying he condemned in the most forceful way such violent acts of terror. And then on the bright side, from Rome, Vatican Cardinal Robert Sarah denounced Islamism Thursday following a lethal terror attack in a French church, calling it a monstrous fanaticism. Islamism is a monstrous fanaticism which must be battled with force and determination, wrote the Guinean cardinal, who leads the Vatican Congregation for Divine Worship, invoking his own experience as an African. It will not stop its war. Unfortunately, we Africans know this only too well, the cardinal wrote on Twitter. The barbarians are always the enemies of peace. The West, today France, must understand this. Let us pray, he said. So, terrible thing, Jack. Oh, and by the way, the American media chipped in a little bit, and here's their opinion of all this.
Ongoing problem in France. Feels so bad for our allies right now. They have gone through a wave of just horrific Islamic extremist attacks over there. In fact, of course, a school teacher beheaded in front of a school because he showed children a comic that had Mohammed in it. This is a country that is terrorized by these Islamic radicals.
It is, and we don't know the motive in this case. This is just developing overnight, but it is suspected.
Huh? Say that again.
Terrorism, the police in France now tell us, but you're right, it was just
had Mohammed in it. This is a country that is terrorized by these Islamic radicals.
It is, and we don't know the motive in this case. This is just
Allahu
developing
Akbar.
overnight, but it is suspected terrorism.
Cut the head
police
off.
in France now tell us, but you're right, it was just a couple of weeks ago.
Quran in his
that
pocket.
A school teacher was beheaded in front of the school, and that was about the cartoon that you described, and obviously this goes back to the cartoon that was published there and the terrible shooting and the execution of the staff at that media outlet, and also then
But we
followed
don't
up
know
later
why.
in Paris by that awful night inside the theater and in the streets of Paris. So, yes, this is an ongoing problem. It had gone away. It seemed to be suppressed for some time, but these incidents in the last couple of days bring it back front and center in Paris, by the way, just as that country goes into a partial lockdown.
Had to bring that up, too.
Restrictions.
And let me clarify. I apologize. We don't know the exact nature of this attack.
No, I have no idea.
I actually was reflecting on a series of other Islamic radical attacks where people were stabbed and killed in churches. We don't have that information yet. There has been a wave of such terrorism. We'll wait actually for authorities to tell us
and we'll follow
what happened inside this church.
the details coming out of Nice. We're also following the.
Can you believe that? Can you freaking believe that?
This was a Tunisian refugee that France, by allowing him come in right on a boat last month.
Yeah.
And
Quran in his pocket. Or maybe in his hand. I don't know. But they don't know. Allahu Akbar. They don't know.
Charlie Hebdo deal where they ran up to the newspaper publishers that
Yeah,
day.
but you know what? You know what, man? That's a sideshow. This is a war. This is a war that started in 700 AD. This is not something that is a sign of the times. It's an existential war, and we're freaking stupid.
It was a very strong statement by the Vatican Cardinal, right?
That's the reason I brought the story on the show. That's the first time I ever heard that.
Right.
And he was from New Guinea. He's from Guinea, rather.
Right. He's lived it. So he is very strong with his, denunciation of what had happened there. And you have the media basically apologizing.
It's crazy.
For even thinking the worst.
I mean,
or
Africa.
even thinking the truth, right?
If you look at the acts that happen in Africa, we report them every week here. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is a mainstay of the weekly jihad report. So is Sierra Leone, Mali. You know, this is when they go in Africa, man, they go hard. They bolt the church doors shut on Sunday and light the son of a bitch on fire, man. I've seen pictures of the aftermath. You know, the only people that catch more hell over time are the Indians. The Indians catch hell. But the Africans are starting to close the gap. I mean, it's really, he'll probably not have a job by tomorrow.
All I know is my entire life, from the time I was in middle school through now, all what I was taught was, or even spoken about, is in regards to Africa, was how much help they need and how much help the Americans were sending. Food, money, teachers, all the missionaries and folks going over there to help out, you know, because it's a devastated continent. I am. I'm going on 60 years old, and it's not one iota better than when I was brainwashed.
No, and it's not our job to do it. It's not our job to do that. I mean, if we can help, fine. But Africa's Africa. Let them be Africa.
Where has all that help gone? You know, the Clinton Foundation and other entities,
and Mugabe,
UNICEF,
and the Mandelas, and you know,
United Nations efforts, UNICEF, and all that stuff. It's like,
sure. I'd love to see
that money.
Love to see some forensic reporting go on. Definitely would. No doubt about it, man. I think one of the funniest things, it's not funny, but it's true. It happens. When the garment district, like with a Super Bowl, the Super Bowl winner T-shirts and stuff were printed way before the game.
Right, both teams.
So there's always a boatload of the losers' gear, and it always ends up in a village in Africa somewhere. And you got all these kids running around with Bob Dole T-shirts. Seattle Seahawks. It's true, though. I mean, oh, well, that was bad. I shouldn't even have said that, but hey. CNN.
I'm Bob Dole.
Yeah. CNN. Don Lemon. Now, I told you, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care what people do on their private time by themselves. I don't give a damn. But that being said, I also said in that same proclamation that if you do some funny shit, I'm going to make fun of it. I don't care if you're gay or not. But I want you to listen to this clip. And it's got a bigger meaning to it. But there's a little part in here that's funny. I'm going to use a little edgy language. I'm not going to say it's totally foul language, but I'm going to use a little bit of street language here for a second. Trying to watch Don Lemon try to figure out a way to tell Chris Cuomo that all he's doing is busting his balls. I want you to hear him get wrapped up like a pretzel trying to say that. It's the gayest thing I ever heard. And I stand by my previous statement on that. But check it out.
In my life. And yeah, I come from a red state. I've lived in several red states. There are a lot of friends who I had to really get rid of because they are so nonsensical when it comes to this issue.
You know what? I shortened the clip, and the part I was talking about, I don't think it's in there.
It's still
so
funny.
I shouldn't even mention it. But let's go again.
In my life, and yeah, I come from a red state. I've lived in several red states. There are a lot of friends who I had to really get rid of because they are so nonsensical when it comes to this issue. They have every single talking point that they hear on state TV and that they hear from this president.
State TV.
They repeat it and they are blinded by it. And when I said to you the other night, there's no way they can't believe it. They can't, I was just goosing you in a way, right? You know what they say. I was.
Oh no, here it is.
Yeah, goosing I was breaking works.
Goosing works. It won't. It's not like that'll be all over the internet. Continue.
But here's the thing. I had to get rid of them because they are too far gone. I try and I try and I try. They'll say something really stupid, and then I'll show them the science and I'll give them the information, and they still repeat those talking points. And all the while, the state was a hot spot. If you look at the information that we put up last night that came up yesterday, it showed you how the red states have now taken over where the blue states, where people came in because there are bigger cities and there's more transmission, obviously, where people are closer together. And so now the red states are the problem. And I had to get rid of a lot of people in my life because sometimes you just have to let them go. I think that they have to hit rock bottom like an addict. Right? And they have to want to get help. They have to want to know the truth. They have to want to live in reality. They have to want to be responsible, not only for other people's lives, but for their lives. So you know what? It's so sad. And I don't know if after this I will ever be able to go back and be friends with those people, because at a certain point you just say they're too far gone and I got to let them go. And if they're willing to come back and if they're willing to live in reality, then I will welcome them with open arms. But I can't do it. I can't do it anymore.
And look, perspective is a function of who you are. Yeah. I represent and care about a lot of things that matter to you personally by proxy. Right. So it's a different analysis. You know, you know me. You're my family. I don't submit. Whatever they are, I never let them go. But I will tell you this. 10 seconds. I believe in a lot of the people that follow this president because they are so desperate in their own frustration, and they're right to be. They just picked the wrong change agent. And look, he can change. Everybody can change, maybe even me. But on this pandemic, he is lying to them, and it's going to make them sick. And I know people who've gotten sick because they listen to him.
I will say this.
And it is wrong.
I'll let you go, but let me say this before I let you go.
Please.
Careful of the decisions you make in desperation. You said they're desperate, but careful of the decisions you make in desperation.
Back at you,
Remember, when
Holmes.
you're desperate, you don't necessarily have a clear head. You don't think straight. That's it.
You're exactly right. You know who doesn't have that excuse? President.
Yeah.
Although that's why he's lying to them. He's desperate. But he's been elected to lead.
I'm desperate to get to the show, so my
Go
producers
ahead. I
don't
love
kill
you,
me.
D. Lemon.
Love
Great
you too,
suit.
brother.
It was a bad day for Don Lemon. I think what happened was his entire hometown friends list on Facebook defriended him. He's going on TV and saying that he's not going to be friends with them.
That's
when in
possible.
actuality, they just kicked him to the curb, and Cuomo's like the moral support.
412-206-6208. Thank you for being patient, folks. Had a lot to get in there, and we're not done yet. Keith Ellison has wielded his power to restrict freedom of assembly of political opponents in Minnesota at the Trump rally tonight. And it was so awesome because he's at Rochester, Minnesota, which is away from Minneapolis and where there's a lot of people live in that area. And thousands of people showed up to see this rally, and the government only allowed 250 into the venue. And they thought they were going to get the president to cancel the rally. But he didn't. He rolled up to this rally, and I'm watching it on RSBN. And the people on RSBN are confounded because obviously they are very experienced in these rallies.
Yes.
And they were saying that the motorcade configuration wasn't right. And they never saw this before, that the cars were lined up at the foot of the staircase of Air Force One. And the president, badass as he is, jumped into that limo in that motorcade and drove out to see the thousands of people that were not allowed in the event first. And he spent like 20 minutes out there. And then he came in and he was freaking pissed. You could tell. He didn't have the same tone that he normally has. He was mad as hell about those people not being able to come in. Because really, that's unconstitutional, especially in a state like Minnesota that has had so many riots and so many protests. But you can't gather because of we need a reset.
All right, I saw Ellison on a thing. So we didn't cancel his event. There's none of that going on. But he didn't say that. We restricted it to 250 people, which is still more than Harris and Biden get on a normal basis. But,
and there was thousands out there. I mean,
yeah.
What happened? I guarantee you what happened. First of all, he already knew it because he has people on the ground telling him what's going on while he's in the plane. But he probably saw him when he flew over it. He probably told the pilot, I want to see the crowd. That's the way he is.
It was the last minute thing. And, usually when President Trump's coming there, the crowd, the line starts, if not overnight, hours and hours before he arrives. So overflow crowd is huge. But
I actually covered a rally for RSBN in Ambridge, Pennsylvania in 2015, I guess. No, 2016. During the campaign. And we trooped the line. That's what it's called in the military. We trooped the line with the camera, me and the cameraman. And at the end, I was winded a little bit, man. It was long. My goodness, it was long.
Like, man, I got to walk back just to get in to see.
I told him, I said, man, I'm walking slower on the way back, dude. You do what you want to do. Let's go to Marlene in Eugene, Oregon. Thanks for waiting, Marlene. What's up?
Oh, goodness. A lot of things. I was just going to mention that clip you were playing with Don Lemon and Cuomo, I guess.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I would not want to live in that guy's reality. He is out too much.
Yeah, he
I'm
is.
putting it politely without saying any dirty words. He was just wacko.
Yeah, I'd hate to see his house.
Ugh, I don't even want to go there. And the other thing, you had mentioned that whole thing about the dark winter American Thinker had a whole article on that, and they were comparing basically Trump as being something positive versus Biden being a highly negative.
So
I won't
right.
go into the whole thing. Yeah. I won't read the article I posted in there in the beginning if anybody wants to read
Appreciate
it. That's
that.
pretty much what they were getting at.
Yeah,
You're going to die if you don't get rid of Trump.
Now, the scary thing I heard was, I heard somebody equating, if you look at some of the material on Hunter Biden's not on Hunter Biden's laptop, GTV has done a concurrent expose of the laptop along with Giuliani. And Bannon is involved in it. But one of the things that they did was they put a press conference of Chinese people together. And the one guy is saying, be prepared that what's he call them? He doesn't call them the Chinese communists. He calls them, I forget, it doesn't matter, kleptocrats. The kleptocracy in Beijing is going to unleash hell on the whole world. And I saw somebody equating that dark winter phrase with a smallpox outbreak.
Okay.
And when you look at this phony ass pandemic that wasn't shit,
it wasn't.
It's like a practice run. It's like, Jack, when we used to fire 203 grenades filled with orange paint.
Right.
It's almost like it was like that.
They sent the marker up, and then you look at the response, and you see the vulnerabilities.
Yeah, exactly.
In how the response went.
And when you look at the whole idea of the economic reset and the New World Order, it's a little spooky. But go ahead, Marlene. Spooky.
But and I guess on a happier note, I've watched some of the their little presentation. This was on Breitbart on Facebook. They were talking about the border wall, and they've gotten 400. I'm going to read this here. The DHS on Thursday announced 400 miles of completed U.S.-Mexico border.
Did you happen to see the comparison of the old border wall versus the new? There were some aerial photographs of that.
I didn't. I only watched part of this thing.
I think I saw it on Breitbart.
But they were, well on its way to having 450 miles of new border wall by the end of the year. And it's great. And they were saying that they thought it was a critical component in gaining operational control of the border.
Yeah. And like I said, it's
more needed.
No, it's like night and day too. The walls we had before were pathetic.
It's total night and day. Yeah,
they were pathetic, man. I mean, it's just amazing to look at the contrast.
But to go back to what you were talking about China and the smallpox, think about recently on the past year and a half talking about diseases that are now resurfacing in the United States that were once thought eradicated.
Well, smallpox vaccinations ended.
Like probings, this is, this just push me aside if I've just went over the edge. But there's some things I think about. It's like, how did all these things end up in our country? We think, the
immigration,
open border, right? Open border.
Even when we had Ellis Island, I mean, they were getting through there. It's hard to defend against this stuff.
But at least they tried to stop it at Ellis
smallpox,
Island, right?
Smallpox was.
Jack, it seemed to me like Ellis Island was a lot more. They had it together.
It was strict.
It was earlier in time.
Well, that was before we all got
quarantined you. They wouldn't let you go any farther than that if you had a disease.
Hey, it was before these people all got woke.
In Kosovo, I remember Fort Dix when I served a summer AT there.
I was there too.
The people coming to the United States were there at Fort Dix in fenced-in areas, quarantined, and go through the protocol before they were allowed to get back in or into the population of the United
The thing
States.
that pissed me off the most about that, they changed the menu in all the mess halls.
Oh, no.
You were there too?
Yeah, you weren't allowed to eat bacon because it couldn't be cooked on the same blacktop as anything else.
Oh, man.
Not all of them, but on some of the because it was the what was that group of ethnic people there? It wasn't the Albanians. It was the oh damn,
Kosovo. I thought it was the
maybe it was the Albanians. It was the Muslims though. They were Muslims, and they had internet trailers,
Was
and
the
they had
Serbs and the Croats. Something
yeah, but
to
it
do
wasn't
with
either
that,
one. It wasn't either one of those. It was I think it was the ethnic Albanians. I'm not sure though. I'll have to look. I'll have to. I remember.
They were in fenced in areas while they went through medical and all that.
That's the first time I ever drank Army water. First time I ever drank water out of a ROPU, out of a reverse osmosis water purification unit. They took it right out.
I never got to see that.
They took it right out of the pond, and then they made pallets of water bottles. And I thought, you drink water out of a bottle, and you almost think like you're drinking spring water, right? And I'm drinking this water. I'm like, this tastes like a freaking swimming pool, man. There's so much chlorine. But I knew it was safe because it was chlorine. But anyway, that was.
Hey, we're used to drinking it out of those blister bags.
Oh yeah.
You talk about a smell, but it's like
oh yeah.
Hydrate, baby. Hydrate.
What else is on your mind, Marlene?
Well, I was just going to mention you were talking about all this COVID, the cases and all this baloney, and it seems like every day or two in our paper, they're freaking out here about how many new cases we get.
Voter suppression.
I don't want to listen to that garbage.
Oh, but all you guys vote by mail anyway, right?
Well, with us, it's a little weird. Technically, yes, it is vote by mail. However, if you're somewhat intelligent, you take your ballot, you fill it out, and you go down to the election office downtown, which is what I did with David's and mine ballot, both of our ballots. I did not physically mail them. I took them right down there because that's where they all end up.
Huh.
I figured Oregon's
been doing that
in person.
Oregon's been doing that for a while, right?
I know. They've been doing it since the year 2000, Jack. I actually looked that up not too long ago.
Yeah. So you're like, we're not going to trust the United States Postal Service with our mail-in ballot.
No.
Fill it out. And we know where to drop it off. That way we know that our vote is, getting to where it needs to be.
Exactly. And I noticed in Pennsylvania, I guess they lost a few thousand ballots back there. I didn't get the whole thing, Hutch, but I think you probably saw it.
They've had a pretty rough go of it. I think was the primaries earlier this year, where thousands, if not tens or hundreds of thousands.
I
think it was tens of thousands that were basically discounted. And you think about it. The way I looked at it is a mail-in ballot, you have to follow the instructions to the letter, right?
Right, which
Step
you do out
one,
here.
you do that. Step 2, step 3. But you're used to it, right? You said since 2000.
Yeah, I've been,
So-
they before then, I did actually go and vote in person, but year 2000, right around the 99, 2000, they voted it in statewide to do vote by mail, and I hate it. But at least I'm used to it, and as far as I know, I haven't seen any widespread fraud. I don't know whether it's because our state's smaller or just they haven't told me about it. I don't know.
I didn't see anything.
You gotta look at your governor. Your governor and your mayor in Portland. I mean, you know what we're going to find out this year.
But
you're right.
Let me finish what I was saying about about the folks that are doing this for the first time, right? You had the Democrats say you have to let them do it, vote by mail, and you have this happening for the first time in a lot of areas where you have to actually do more to complete properly a mail-in ballot in order for it to be considered legal than you do if you go in, show your ID, get your ballot, vote in person, and then put it in the thing. It's very simple. To do the mail-in ballot, you have to fill out the form properly. And there's a lot of steps, right? Right.
Yeah.
But
You have to fill it out properly, and if you don't fill it out properly, then it's not accepted.
It's rejected.
Pure and simple.
So that's what I'm thinking about Pennsylvania with theirs, why there were so many in the primary rejected. People did not know how to fill it out properly. And you're going to get a lot of that, I believe, next week.
I got a story about Pennsylvania, too. Thanks for calling, Marlene. Always appreciate it.
Thanks, Marlene.
Yeah, I got a couple stories here. One's from Pennsylvania. Do I want to catch that now? Yeah, let's do this. Pennsylvania Democrats campaign intern accused of voter intimidation. This is from Jessica Corkinus. Republican congressional candidate Sean Parnell's campaign recently accused a woman working for Democrat lawyer Mark Elias of engaging in voter intimidation in Pennsylvania. Emily Rusko, an intern for Parnell's opponent, Representative Connor Lamb, Democrat, posted pictures of voter rolls on Snapchat with the caption, "I'm about to see how all you effers vote," the Washington Free Beacon reported. The outlet has obtained images of the Snapchat posts in question after tens of thousands of voters received the wrong ballots. Parnell asked courts to mandate poll watchers at satellite voting locations in the district, the Beacon article read. According to Resco, the Lamb campaign chose her to work with Elias in opposing Parnell's request, the report continued. In reaction to the news, Resco wrote on Snapchat, "So how about because of my internship, me and this other boy were picked tonight," and now this is in all caps, "to literally be assistants under the lawyer on this potential case. I'm so effing excited. F Parnell and his voter suppression." That message.
This is a first-year law student.
She's still calling people. She's still calling men boys. Me and another boy. That message contains screenshots of tweets from Lamb and Elias. "I literally get to gather data for this case. This is amazing, and I'm excited. Okay, bye, sorry." In one image, Resco appeared to explain she had full access to the voting history of all residents in the 17th congressional district. If that's true, that should be illegal by itself, Jack.
That is what I was talking about earlier when you see the potential of the United States.
These people hate us. They hate us.
Biden.
You heard Don Lemon say it. We're drug addicts.
Administration.
Yeah.
If they get, you're talking, this is a serious deal here. You're talking about a campaign for being a Senate, right?
No,
is it
Congress.
Senate or is
This
it
is
Congress?
Congress.
Connor Lamb is Congress? I thought he was a senator.
Well, they're both Congress. He's in the House of Representatives.
Right. So you're talking about a serious deal coming up next week, and they're hiring a first-year intern, and she's playing it out this way on social media.
Exactly. It's terrifying.
Trying to scare people.
That's exactly what it is, and don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. On Twitter, Wednesday afternoon, Parnell said his campaign had taken immediate action and referred this to the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Pennsylvania and the Department of Justice, which is a good thing, which means he jumped the hell over Pennsylvania. He got the hell out of Pennsylvania and went to the DOJ, which, I mean, that's shaky, but it's much better than Pennsylvania. Breaking, this is his tweet. "We've received serious allegations with credible evidence of voter intimidation by the Connor Lamb PA campaign here in PA 17. We have taken immediate action and referred this to the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Pennsylvania and the Department of Justice." If you remember That's the same office that got farmed out some of the coup effort investigations. Resco is reportedly a first-year law student at Duquesne University, a pretty prestigious university here, according to the Washington Examiner. She's making people on social media think she can see how they voted, which I don't believe. And people are now afraid to turn out because they want their votes to be kept secret, Parnell told the outlet, especially in an age of doxing and people getting fired for supporting President Trump. This is part of the reason why the polls aren't accurate, he continued. Lamb and Parnell are currently in a tight race against one another in the state's 17th congressional district, according to the Beacon. The race is considered one of the most competitive in the country, the article concluded. And just a little background, I said at the top of the show, Jack, that we've been betrayed by the Republican Party, and this seat that is occupied by Connor Lamb, a little soy boy that did a tour in the military. I think he did 3 years or something like that. Shot at it.
That Lamb replaced.
That's what I'm getting ready to tell you. It was a Republican
right.
that betrayed us. Because what this guy did, he didn't do a damn thing the whole time he was in Congress. That's the way Western Pennsylvania politicians are. It doesn't matter what their party is. They never do shit. So he's one of those guys. His name was Murphy. And the only time you ever saw him was during the Ebola outbreak in Africa. Because he was on, infectious disease committee or something. So you saw him there. It was the only time you ever seen this guy. His only achievement in his whole time was to get a commissary out by our airport for the military. But he was cheating on his wife. And he got his Guma pregnant. And was trying to force her. Now this is a pro-life Republican. Trying to force her to get an abortion. And she ratted on his ass. That's how Republicans betrayed us over the years. Or there'd never be a Democrat in that position. And it's why I think Sean Parnell is going to get it back. Because people were mad.
I remember we promoted the guy that was against Lamb in the first one.
I don't even remember who it was, man.
Yeah.
Sean Parnell's got some juice, though. I'm not even in his district, and I got his sign in my yard. You know what I mean? He's one of the good guys for sure, no question.
Done that, a veteran.
Yeah.
Western Pennsylvania should support him and be proud of supporting that man.
Yeah. I mean, Connor Lamb's a veteran, but Sean Parnell was a platoon leader in Afghanistan with the freaking... Was he with the Rangers?
It was one of the elite groups.
Yeah, he's badass. He's no joke. No joke at all. You know, I mean, one of his ads was like, man, we were on this hill, and we all got shot. And everybody's blood was the same color. You know, I mean, he went to say, you know, there was black guys there and everything.
Yeah, I served plenty of years, and you served a hell of a lot more years than I have. But I know that I never personally have witnessed, and I was in Desert Storm, and I was very fortunate not to have witnessed any loss of life from our side or the enemy.
I witnessed some loss of life, but I never had to fire my weapon in anger.
Yeah, I didn't have to do
I'll
that.
Be honest
either.
on that. Mine was mainly. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you it was combat related. It was training accidents, and there was a lot of them. But my hat goes off to people like Sean Parnell. I'm not in the same league as you, brother, and I'll never say I was. You know. But that being said, do you know that Philadelphia had 4 days of riots? And the governor of Pennsylvania said he was going to deploy the National Guard after the first night. And they just showed up this morning.
They had to get a map and directions. They got stuck in traffic, and nobody had the toll money for the turnpike. Come on.
I know. But on a brighter note, Twitter stock crashed 20%. as user growth fizzles. Yeah, you should have let me stay on there.
Did you see what was it? Tom Hanks' character in whatever the movie Castaway. That's what that Twitter guy looked like.
To me, he looks like Osama bin Laden.
Oh, the cross between them, right?
Yeah.
Wilson!
A freaking ring in his nose. All they needed. And Mark Dice did this, by the way. He put a turban on him and put an AK-47 leaning against the wall behind him. Looks just like him. Looks just like him.
I remember that bin Laden look early in the day when somehow some mainstream media news networks the reporter somehow found him. You know,
it was Cook, not Cook. It was he was a guy from ABC in New York.
You know what I talk about, right? He got the interview. Supposedly they blindfolded him and his camera crew and took him up into the mountains, and he got the exclusive interview with the terrorist.
Yeah, that was the same guy that interviewed John Gotti all the time, and then he ended up being like the emergency management guy out in L.A. or something like that. I mean, the news guy.
MVP in the chat room, Osama bin Dorsey.
Yeah,
all right, I think
right.
You nailed it.
You nailed it. He nailed it. He's the one that said. He also, and welcome, MDP. I mean, I never saw you in there before, but I'm not always monitoring, so that might not be accurate. But he said, never trust anybody that doesn't like bacon. And I agree with that 100%. That's some serious stuff right there, no doubt.
Who was that investigative journalist? I mean, he used to be some.
He was a big guy,
journalist.
John something. John. Damn, I wish I remembered that because he has a name of somebody else that I know. He got curly hair. He used to interview John Gotti all the time, and he was from New York originally. He was the guy that had the balls to go up to Gotti and talk to him while he was getting perp walked. You know. Anyway, whoever he was. So. Something that the Democrats have done in our times here. I didn't mean to scare the callers away either, by the way. 412-206-6208.
It's Friday. It's caller night.
But I get in there and, I put a lot of work into tonight's show notes, and I just want to make sure. I had 2 stories that were longer that I wanted to get out, and they're out. So that's the only reason I did that. It's not because I don't like your calls. I love your calls, and listeners like the calls. By the way, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you're listening on the podcast, give us them 5-star ratings and all that kind of stuff. Feel free to say something. If you like the show, if you don't, then just don't listen to it. But, one of the things that the Democrats have done for sure, and we're not going to really know for 5 or 10 years, but in my opinion, Jack, the Democrat Party of the United States of America has either completed or is in the process of destroying the American city. Right now, you have in L.A. and D.C., businesses are bracing for Election Day chaos, boarding up all their windows. I mean, this is an untenable situation here.
It makes you wonder what they're allowing this devastation to go on in major cities, right?
Yeah.
New York City, you see
Philadelphia,
an evacuation of the population there. You see the riot. You see what's happening in Philly over the weekend. We saw it start in Minneapolis. It's happened in Los Angeles. It's happened in Portland, Seattle, St. Louis. And you combine that with efforts that you see that the lefts want to destroy suburbia.
Yeah, exactly.
And moving what used to be the bad side of town in cities, or the neglected side of town in cities, where the Section 8 housing or the apartments were. And
this actually happened. This happened in the Obama administration. They put regulations in
Right.
That
now
money
it's forcing multi-family units into the middle
even
of what was
even in luxury
suburban areas.
Even in luxury developments, Jack.
Yeah.
Portions of the luxury developments had to be minority affordable housing. Just sickening. Let's go to Regina in Richmond. Hello, Regina.
Regina.
Hello,
Hey,
Hutch.
how
How's
you
that?
doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. What's on your mind tonight?
Y'all touched on a subject that I kind of sort of know pretty well.
Which one is that?
Mine happened. It was done in the I guess you call it reverse way.
Okay. All right.
Instead of my building being placed in the suburbs, it's in the city.
Right.
Oh, backwards,
Yeah,
huh? Opposite.
Well, that was part of the regulations too. That was definitely part of it. It wasn't just the suburbs. It was all neighborhoods. 100% of every neighborhood in the country. In other words, let's ruin it all.
Yeah,
You know?
but see, the tricky part about the location where I'm at is that the college took over too, so that's the other snag.
Right.
But see, I think there's only 3 buildings in my vicinity that are that way, and some of them was that way before I moved to Richmond. And the building that I'm living in now was what they call in the it was classified as historical.
Well, here's the mentality that I have about what should be done. I think that there should absolutely be affordable housing available for anybody that needs it. But I also think that ought to be tied for most people to a temporary basis. I
got some bad news about that.
Well, because I know that's not what's happening. We're planting a stake here that's from now on.
I know.
And that's go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, there's a bad history of that. That's what you remember back in the day when they had something called. Back in the day, they used to call it single room occupancy.
Yeah.
SROs.
Yeah.
That turned out to be a nightmare. So the organization that started up my building in the city of Richmond, they took over that. They're a private outside group. They came in and they took over a building. It started out as a SRO. That's
right.
How that's kind of how it was supposed to be temporary.
Yeah.
But then they realized that there was a lot of people that they couldn't at the time afford housing, and a lot of people with disabilities.
Well, those people, there's always going to be people in our society that need help.
Yeah,
and there's not a conservative out there that doesn't want to help those people.
Yeah, so that kind of sort of turned out to be a disaster, and because you had the city council of Richmond at the time, they were criminals. So you had
every Democrat city
going on.
Yeah.
So well, you can add a lot of Republicans that we noted. So
that's true.
The whole damn thing needs an overhaul, because the way I look at it, what they're doing now, or what the Obama administration did by implementing the move of the multifamily housing, public housing in the middle of suburbs, is the only thing that makes sense to me is because they want the voters in there, the ones that are tied directly to the federal government aid and all that.
Relief,
boom,
exactly,
planted right in the middle of the folks that are self-sufficient, to kind of put a jumble into that, because They figure they've already got a lot of the major cities under wraps.
And
They wanna take
understand
out
their mentality. If you are an American that is blessed enough to be able, which is the majority of Americans, to be able to support yourself and love your country, they hate you. They hate you.
Oh yeah.
There's no. I mean, they physically hate you, and that is so cancerous that it needs to be. And we need to start, like I said earlier. I think if anybody is still listening to this show that has any influence, I think that the number one initiative after this election is over, if we win, because if we lose, then I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to have to retreat and I'm going to have to come up with some new ideas. And I will do that. But if we win, which I think we're going to, the DOJ needs to be brought to its freaking knees, man. I mean, I'm talking about everybody that's a GS-13 and above needs to be abolished. And they need to go somewhere. They need to go somewhere. And I don't even know where. But they need to go somewhere in the middle of West Virginia somewhere, or in the middle of Montana. And they need to start a Justice Department there.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it this way. With the efforts to move government-dependent people in the middle of self-sufficient folks, the threat is to eliminate folks that are self-sufficient, successful, and for the most part, Americans that are that successful and able to be that self-sufficient are very generous to folks in need in their area.
Yeah.
And that right there defeats any effort of the federal government to try to latch on to these folks, because the folks that are successful on their own right aren't evil people. The evil people are the people up in D.C. that want to control your daily life.
And most of the people that are in the impoverished side are not evil people either.
No.
There are some.
Yeah.
There are a lot. Anybody who lives in a city knows them.
Yeah. Yeah, because see, I wish I had a longer time to talk with y'all about building that I live in, so you can have, I guess, a clear understanding of how it was done and stuff like that. Because there's also more to it. Because a lot of people also don't realize that the building that I was staying in, that I'm staying in, is what they call the test building. A lot of people don't know that. My building was the test building.
Okay. So you're living in the pilot program. In the first one. The first one.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Do you like it there?
The test building, but they had to go through some growing pains, and they got the system down.
Right.
And they also gave the blueprint for the people that a lot of people don't realize that have autism.
Okay.
So they designing buildings similar to my building for people that have autism. A lot of people don't realize that.
Is it a good thing?
The buildings being done for people that have autism.
Is it a good thing? Does it work?
I'm not sure. Because I haven't been in those buildings. I just know of them.
Right. Well,
I mean, because see, my building is doing very well, because my building is, you got people that are able-bodied, and then you got people that are not able-bodied.
Right. Well, I know one of the things that we need.
So it's half and half.
One of the problems that we have as conservatives is we allow ourselves to be backed into a corner. For instance, if somebody picked up this call, they would tell the people that I'm heartless. You know, and it's not like that. It's not like there's no conservative that I know that wants to hold anybody back or anything like that. But the evil intentions.
I understand.
No, I know, but I'm saying as a rule, I'm not saying me and you. I'm just saying that we have sometimes a hard time carrying on our fight without protecting ourselves against attacks that we don't care about anything. In other words, that's all you hear in the media, how evil we are and how we want to starve people and how we want dirty air and dirty water. And shut up.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Shut up. I don't want to drink dirty water. Why would I want that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, even as a libertarian, we don't want to hear that either, Hutch.
Right. No, I know you don't.
We want this is America, the land of freedom. We want folks to be free.
Right.
Free to make their own decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Free to live their lives as they choose, not be put into a box, not be put into a certain category, not be taxed into a certain existence. You know, you make this much money, we're going to take this away and we're going to put it to good use. No, don't take my money. Let me put it to good use. I may have a neighbor that needs help a year down the line, and if you keep taking my money and spending it all across, well, who knows where, I won't be able to help my neighbor. And you know that kind of makes me angry.
Plus, I want that new truck, man.
Oh yeah, and then
I ain't gonna lie.
$100,000 for a truck.
Yeah, and see, there's another thing that I thought about one night. I was doing something else, and I thought about that nobody has thought about. A lot of people keep forgetting that we see in the news about the nursing homes now, right?
Right.
We see how that turned out to be a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much the building that I'm living in right now is not a nursing home. You can live in it. You can live in it and be independent. You don't need to be in a nursing home.
Right, but it's still close quarters.
It's not close quarters, believe it or not. It's not close quarters. It's not what you think.
Right.
Yeah. It's what they call efficiency apartment. If you understand what that is.
That means a one-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
With everything with the living room, with the living room and the kitchen, like right the same.
Yeah,
you know, I know. I lived in one.
And it's easier for older folks,
right,
to live on their own without any family members helping them. Family members can come and visit, and then go away, and not be lurking around corners and crevices behind and having nurses coming in, testing and grabbing and poking and pulling and stuff like that. You can do things on your own independently. You can get out and walk independently and do what you need and go about your business, go about your life.
Right.
Pretty much.
I know. There's something to be said for that small. I mean, you look at the spike in what, it's a fad out there in the world called the tiny houses, which are like
I think they're
a little
cool.
trailer. Yeah, they're fantastic. I mean, what you and I in the military, we're used to being,
No, I wouldn't have wanted to try to go through the pandemic in one of them.
No.
That's kind of sort of starter home for younger folks.
Yeah.
But most of the people that I'm living around are in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you like where you are, and I look forward to having a more in-depth conversation with you maybe on Monday.
Definitely.
But call early and call around 9, and we'll get into it if you feel like it.
Oh, okay.
All right, Regina, thanks for calling.
Okay.
Always appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Stay strong. Thanks.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, so going back to the phones in just a second, but for now, let's go to the phones now. Let's welcome Ken from King George. Thank you for waiting, Ken. Appreciate it.
Hey, Ken.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? We're talking about these, car rallies and all that stuff.
Yeah, BB.
When I was going into work this morning, they're supposed to be doing one hell of a one. It goes around the Beltway in D.C. on Sunday.
What,
around noon.
A Trump thing or a Biden thing?
Yeah. No, it's a Trump thing.
Oh, okay.
Trump around the Beltway, horn honking.
That's awesome.
Well, I guess there's a couple coordinated things between like some groups in Southern Maryland and like the Spotsylvania, Woodbridge area, Fredericksburg, stuff like that. I'd already promised my brother-in-law we're supposed to be going down there, but yeah, they said they're going to start somewhere around 10 o'clock. I guess they put a restriction, 35 mile an hour, but because they want for safety reasons as far as flags and this and that. Yeah. But yeah, they're going to basically go counterclockwise around the Beltway.
That's awesome.
And they're guesstimating somewhere between 15 to 20,000 cars.
That would be sweet.
You're probably a lot more. Both of you guys are probably a lot more familiar with Washington, D.C. than I am. But I went there one time with my ex-wife just to go there. We spent a couple nights in a hotel, check the sights out. But I drove in, and I don't like that Beltway, man. I just don't. And because I had to go down to, what's the name of the fort? Fort Meade all the time, right where the NSA is and all that.
Right.
And I had this big giant map, this metropolitan D.C. map. And one thing about D.C., it's very symmetrical. It's very east and west, north and south.
Very Masonic.
And it's very, A Street, B Street, C Street. It's very organized. And I was like, look, we can drive. We don't have to go on this Beltway. We can go on J Street from here, like almost 10 miles into D.C.
Yeah.
Dude, was that a mistake? That was a mistake.
Yeah.
I never knew there was a ghetto that big. I mean, it was a war zone for miles. It was
you felt like Chevy Chase and Vacation.
Dude, it was like check cashing, liquor store, people on the corner, furniture outside, people drinking out of brown paper bags in the middle of the day. It was horrible for like miles. But anyway, that was a side story. Go
Where
ahead.
were you born?
D.C., Georgetown.
There you go. Nostalgia.
But Georgetown is a very uppity place. It's a rarity in that area.
Well, the thing was, you mentioned Georgetown, and with all the looting and the rioting and all this other stuff.
I was born two doors down from where John Kennedy lived. Go ahead, sorry.
You're kidding.
I went to the bar where the St. Elmo's fire was filmed.
Check that out. I was there too.
Georgetown.
I was at that bar on top of that hotel that spun. It rotated.
Damn, got me on that one.
The beers were $5 a piece, man. I didn't last long. I gave the bartender a 20, and I was out after 4 beers. That was like 1990, man.
And that was before cell phones, so you couldn't even selfie it.
Right.
Damn.
But no, when they first started all this lockdown crap, because of all the looting and stuff that was happening, a lot of the storefronts in Georgetown were boarded up. They'd been boarded up.
They probably still are.
March.
They probably still are. That's a shame. I mean, the whole one lesson that we better learn about this is law enforcement can't be optional, man. It can't be political. Law enforcement has to be universal. Lady Liberty has a blindfold on. If we don't fix that, that's what I say. That is the most important issue on my docket right now. Is GD people are not, it just, Jim Jordan says it perfectly. Jim Jordan, all you need to know.
You know what people want to know? They want to know when someone's going to jail. I tell people that's the question. More often than not, when I'm walking through an airport or something, people walk up to me, when is somebody going to jail for the wrongdoing that took place in the Trump-Russia investigation or even the Clinton investigation?
Exactly. And not only that, but the whole thing, the whole country. These Democrats never go to jail, man. Paul Manafort is still in jail. You know,
or if they do, well, look at that actress, whatever the hell, with that college scandal thing. 2 months, really?
I know.
What the hell kind of deterrent?
Think about
what kind
what
of
we talked
deterrent
about.
is that?
Yeah, think about what we've talked about with the generals, the DC, the Beltway generals, and
Mattis,
think about
Kelly, McMaster, all of them.
Who was the only one in recent history that actually, boom, what they had on him was unleashed, and he went from hero to zero in like 3 weeks. It was during 2012 re-election of Obama. It was the number one guy, and all of a sudden it was the reporter and him were hooking up.
Petraeus.
And yes.
A non-warrior, by the way.
But think about that.
His first
they
combat
kicked his
tour.
ass out of the way just like that.
But let me tell you about him.
Buck Obama.
But let me tell you about him. He's what's wrong with the United States military.
No, there was nothing right about it.
His first combat tour was as a division commander. He spent 10 to 15 years in college during his tour. The only thing good about that guy, he got shot in the chest and got recovered.
But the point I'm trying to make is he was the only one of the insiders in D.C., the military hierarchy, who saw the Benghazi cover-up for what it was, tried to say something about it, and then the dirt they had on him came out like boom.
Yeah, that's true.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm not saying the man was good.
Look at
I'm
Carter
just saying-
Ham, man. Carter Ham was a fine general.
And that's why all these generals that are sticking. I saw a commercial of another Bush era Army general supporting Biden, endorsing him on an ad today.
Look at McChrystal. McChrystal turned Defense Department level psyops for Biden against Trump. I mean, we got a big problem, man. We really do.
Huge.
General Milley, what a scumbag. I mean, these people, I won't even talk about McMaster. Go ahead, Ken. Let's wrap it up.
All right. Well, hey, I was just glad that Jack reminded me that Abigail Spanberger was running because I completely forgot about that because I haven't heard one of her ads in a little over 2 hours.
3 minutes ago,
That's like Sean Parnell, man. These ads never stop, man. Jesus.
She's got some Bloomberg money.
Do they run it back to back where you're at?
Bam, 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 bam.
I mean, the same ass ad.
Yeah.
The same ad, back to back.
Yeah, same ad. Now I hear it on the radio because
I can't take it no more.
We listen to one country station at work, and if it's not 2, 3, 4 times an hour, I've never heard, a Rob Whitman ad on this channel, but and one of the other things, have you heard the one where they tout over Congressman when she was in the CIA, like she was like freaking Jack Reacher or some shit, And I'm like, really?
Spanberger, right? She's the CIA.
Yeah.
She was out there sacrificing her life for you. And I'm like, well, and she actually is trying to tag team on some of what Trump is trying to accomplish and saying she was part of it, giving farmers aid and all this crap. I'm like, but she's up against as Special Forces Nick Freitas,
yeah.
Yeah, and he's got like one commercial to her 10.
That's the way it is.
Bloomberg's money goes a long way.
It does. It does.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same thing here with Rob Whitman. I mean, all the money that what he claims is
Do you see who he's running against?
Qasim Rashid.
Yes.
Qasim Rashid. Yeah.
Qasim
They said that 90
Rashid.
It's awesome.
Oh, he's supposed. I saw him up at the high school. Oh, geez, was during the prime. Well, they had this Meet the Candidates Day,
right?
And yeah, I mean, he supports all the red flag laws and all this other shit, but he's supposed to be some sort of constitutional civil rights lawyer. I'm like, you're full of shit, dude.
I mean,
like, I've heard enough.
We keep doing
I
it.
was the first person when he started talking. After he mentioned that he was, for all this red flag law shit, I walked out. I was the first person to walk out. I was like, you know what? Crowder's coming on. I got to watch it.
Come read the Constitution with me on my prayer rug. Like, wait, what?
I'm an American. My name is Rashid. No. You're mistaken.
Kasim.
Yeah.
Kasim.
You're mistaken.
So,
all right, Ken, man. I appreciate the call,
you guys
buddy.
have a wonderful weekend. And
You too.
catch y'all on Monday.
Thanks,
All right. Thanks for calling, man. Appreciate it. All right. So let's go, finally, to MSNBC. There's a lady there. Her name is Rule. Never heard of her before. But she is really pissed off that Tucker Carlson had the audacity to report on Joe Biden and his scandal. Listen to this. Yeah, listen to this. First, let's listen to this first.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure. I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure. I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
And then there was Tucker Carlson, who decided in the week before the election to focus on unverified claims about Joe Biden and his son Hunter. This interview you see with Tony Bobulinski, Hunter's former business associate, who alleges that Joe Biden was involved in a business venture with a Chinese oil company, drew an audience of more than 7.5 million people. The show's biggest ratings outside of the presidential debates. Tucker has complained that the media isn't talking about his interview. So let's talk about it. The Wall Street Journal reported that the proposed venture never received any funding or completed any deals. Wall Street Journal reported that. And when they reviewed corporate records, they found no role for Joe Biden. NBC News has reached out to Bobulinski when he first made these allegations, but he didn't respond. But Fox News is not just reporting these claims, their hosts are using it to sow doubt in the election that is happening right this minute.
According to Google Trends data, guess what has been trending over the last few days? Can I change my vote? And Hunter Biden. So it appears maybe people who voted for Biden because of Hunter, his son, they want to change their votes.
Almost 80 million Americans have already cast their vote in this election, and there's no evidence that millions want to change their vote over this. And to add insult to injury, Fox's Greg Gutfeld used this.
Hold on, man. Hold on. Now, they just played a clip that said the trending searches on Google were how do I change my vote and Hunter Biden. Jack, and then this moron comes on and says there's no evidence of anybody wanting to change their votes.
Right.
No evidence.
It couldn't be. It's shocking.
It's impossible.
And Tucker Carlson is just spite.
Such
what they're angry about is he has 7 million viewers per night.
And no, he has 1 million or so viewers a night. He had 7 million viewers for that post.
No, he's the number one draw across the whole spectrum right now.
I think
number one.
But I think that's only 1 million or 2 on a regular basis.
No.
That is his.
It might
that
be
is
5 to 6 million
it might
normally,
be that.
and this
it might
one
be
was
that.
7.
Okay.
But
okay.
no, he
might be
blows vanity and all of
1 million is not a small number, man. I mean,
1 million is CNN numbers.
750,000, I think. But anyway, it doesn't matter. You're right. It was a large number, but let's finish the clip.
Huge.
So-called story to casually float the idea of a constitutional crisis before we even know the election's outcome.
Why don't the Republicans start a preemptive impeachment on Joe Biden in case he wins? They could actually start it tomorrow.
Now, she sits there and takes that like a hard news hit. And anybody that watches Gutfeld knows that he's just bringing some levity to the show.
He's totally sarcastic.
Totally.
He like highlights the the double standards going on across all of media.
And these idiots that read the news for the Democrat. You know, I heard somebody say something today. Can't remember where it was. But they basically said the people that are listening to the reporting are smarter than the people reporting. And I agree with that completely. These people are idiots, Jack.
Look at the ratings.
Yeah, but forget the ratings. Just look at what they say. Look at their performance. Look at their knowledge base. Look when they try to report on history. It's embarrassing. And I went to public schools.
You have the majority of the mainstream media thinking right now that their complete side-by-side, elbow-to-elbow effort to knock down the Hunter Biden laptop story
they think it's working.
Is basically silencing.
No,
it is
not.
Making more people dig into it. What are they hiding?
I asked my wife today, and as I've told you numerous times, ladies and gentlemen, my wife is apolitical and sometimes just gives me the hand when I'm talking to her.
Going on, huh?
But she knows. I asked her specifically today, before the show, do the people, because she talks with a lot more people than I do, other than the show. I mean, like in social media and social environments, not just social media, but, you know, seeing people. And I asked her, do the people know what happened with Hunter Biden? And she was like, hells to the yeah.
They know.
She said everybody knows that. So this is something, this is telling. This is very telling. The media is not nearly as powerful as they once were. And we have to continue to fight on Cold War Radio and 1,000 other shows like it. We have to continue to fight. I want to thank each and every one of you for hanging in there with us. And I'm actually going to have to ask you to sacrifice in the near future because I'm going to have to go off the air for a little bit of time. And I'm not ready to give details about that yet, and it's not going to be, hopefully, God willing, it's not going to be a long time. But I have to take care of some things, and there's going to be a break in the show after the election. And I'll explain more as we go forward. But I just want to prepare you because there's going to be a period of time in the near future where there's not going to be a show. And I'm not exactly sure how much time it's going to be, but I'm going to guess anywhere from 3 weeks to a month where the show's not going to be available. I got to take care of some things on my own. And I will come up with a description and a reason for that very soon, probably by Monday.
And perhaps that's a cry out to all of you faithful listeners that have been listening to us for so long. Maybe this is the time, this little void, you can fill it. You start your own, have your voice heard. You start your own effort to sit there because, you know, I mean, you look at this is show 950 on Cold War Radio.
We were talking about that before the show, man. You said 950, and I didn't know what you were talking about. And then I looked, and I was like, man, that's an accomplishment all by its damn self, man.
Big time.
You were here from the beginning, too. Didn't you start in Steel City Resistance?
Yeah, I helped you out when Ward had to take some time off, and you needed someone to help you out. I was there, and you allowed me to come help you out on this show. And I don't regret any moment that I've been a part of this effort.
And I don't regret any moment that you were a part of this effort. You've done a magnificent job. And as everybody has, everybody that's on the staff right now has continued to do an excellent job. And I should have probably wrote to all of our people, my staff, prior to saying that, but it just came out, man. That's the way it happens. And but it's all right. I just want to make sure that everybody sticks around. Let's finish this clip.
We are now 4 days away from the election, and the truth is more important than ever. The truth is that we are in the middle of a pandemic. The truth is that millions of Americans are out of work. The truth is that we have to listen to science. And in these final days, instead of debating crowd size or unverified claims or conspiracy theories, we should be talking about policy, values, and ideas.
Yeah, okay. Let's translate that.
Notice how they dropped it's Russia, 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 because the DNI and everything came out and said it's not Russia.
That was voter suppression.
Exactly.
They are trying to scare the elderly into not voting.
They want to do that, and also they want to dissuade any potential Democrat votes from even peeking into the Hunter Biden story. They want them to be sealed shut. The Russian disinfo. Boom, go vote.
Dude comes
we'll
out
talk to you.
with evidence, and Rudy Giuliani comes with the grand poobah of evidence, and they want to pretend. Again, I go back to the fact: the FBI needs to be burned to the ground. Burned to the ground.
Remember when Rudy came out and said he had the hard drive, and we look back to how the media was portraying Rudy when he came back from Ukraine, and when he already knew about this hard drive and knew
and took with him
that the FBI had it, so he was limited, but he was excited because hey, we have the goods. We've handed it over to the DOJ, and you just wait. And he waited, and it's a year. And what is that? That reflects badly upon who? The Department of Justice, the FBI Director Wray. And
look what they let the Clintons do. They let the Clintons run amok, totally amok. It's an embarrassment.
Through the ringer, Trump.
Right, it's an embarrassment. It is a total
$48 million a Mueller investigation and zero collusion. Zero.
I wish the administration would say, Hutch Bailey Jr., man, can you come up here and fix this DOJ? Because I'd be like, yeah, I'll be there in the morning. I'll be there and I'll fire every goddamn buddy.
You're gone.
I'm telling you, as we say in the military, I would fire them for cause. And the federal government is the same as the U.S. military when it comes to the Office of Personnel Management. It's not the same, but it's close. And supervisor, this is why it is a myth that federal supervisors cannot fire employees. I fired over 50 employees when I was a federal supervisor. And one of the things that you can fire them for is for cause. And that is because they're an asshole. Because they've done something so egregious that it requires termination. And you have to back it up. Now, don't get me wrong.
Right.
You can't do it because you don't like a dude.
It's a history there.
You have to have the history. Exactly. You have to be a supervisor that knows what they're doing, that's competent, and that keeps records on your subordinates. A lot of supervisors in the government are crackheads. You know what I mean? They're not even qualified supervisors.
The devices in place, like the 6-month evaluations and all that,
right?
Instead of being an authentic deal, it's just like paper to pen.
Lick 'em, stick 'em. Lick 'em, stick 'em. Right? Exactly. I remember one time a supervisor of mine gave me my evaluation when I was still a blue-collar person. And I looked over it, signed it, and gave it back to him. He said, aren't you going to read it? I was like, no, why would I do that? Because I knew it was bullshit, you know?
Right.
But anyway, let's go back to Eugene. I'm going to guess this is Dave, man. Is that you, Dave?
Yeah, it's me.
What's
Hello,
up?
Dave.
I just had some closing thoughts. I've been listening to you, and I think what's not being elaborated on enough is the fact that the bottom line of Americans have to prosper if we're even going to have taxes. And we need to have jobs in the United States in order to supply all this. These things are needed because as the bottom line of Americans prospers, then we can consider raising taxes and paying all these things that the Democrats are so concerned about. Paying like firefighters, teachers. We won't have any of that without jobs. So it's the jobs that fuel the economy. And to say that we, during a time of famine, need to raise a tax, or a time of, like in ancient times, Herod even remitted the taxes. But it seems like they want to tax more, even though we're in the middle of a pandemic. That doesn't seem to make sense.
No,
and it seems like a lot of this social justice is just economic seizure.
No, I agree with you. And I look at my own son.
Black justice.
Go ahead, sorry.
And it's economic seizure in the skirt of black justice. So anyhow, or economic justice, or Indian justice, or gay and lesbian justice. So anyhow, all these disparities are just an effort to seize the economy. Anyway.
No, I agree with that. And, you know, I've had conversations with my own, you know, firefighters and police and DPW workers and people that work for the state, you know, prison guards and, you know, just people that are necessary for the, you know, continuation of a civilized life. Most of them in their hearts are conservative, but in their politics, they end up being prisoners of local public sector unions. And the public sector unions, like my son's, not always, but almost always, the only two presidents that have ever really got the union vote were Reagan and Trump. And they are intimidated by union thugs to, you know, back the Democrat. But yet, as I told my son, I'm like, look, boy, you better realize that you can't get water out of a rock. There's only so many people that are left in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they are the only people that are paying or that are allowing you to have the salary that you have.
They pay the jobs.
Right. You better find another place.
They have to have one to pay it.
Exactly. I mean, and it's you know, sometimes, like my son's sharp. He's an Army officer. He's smart. He knows. But some guys, man, they don't get it. They think that just because they're a firefighter, they don't realize that in the state of Pennsylvania, and it's like this all over the country, but they don't realize that in the state of Pennsylvania, 98% of firefighters do the shit for free.
Yeah.
They don't realize that. They think because they go on so many calls, because the firefighters' unions have trick screwed the government into sending an engine, a freaking engine, a pumper, a $300,000 piece of diesel equipment to every single ambulance call, every Band-Aid call, every broken ankle call. They think that when they go to negotiations, they can say, hey, man, we had 5,000 calls last year. We need $70,000 a year. They think that's going to go on forever.
Well, Hutch, don't you think that, I mean, it's kind of silly, the unions leaders that are trying to regain their ties to the Democrats this election?
They're nuts. They're
were
nuts.
abandoned by the Democrats last election. Trump gained a lot of the workers, and if you saw in Michigan,
just like Reagan did,
Representative Debbie Dingell said, I've talked to the auto workers, and the workers say they're voting for Trump.
Any union member is stupid if they don't vote for Trump, and
Right.
they know, and
Who
they
got
know
the
it.
jobs back? Who
Right, they
brought
know
these-
it.
Right.
Dave, your thoughts, man? I mean, this is real.
Yeah, it is real.
And I think that I don't think it's going to work. I really don't. I know it's not going to work. I know that, Joe Biden came out and claimed that the Boilermakers Union, headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, by the way, supported him. And the union president came out and said, oh, hell no. No, you're wrong. We support Trump.
The police unions, which
But I don't think
typically
it's time to
don't
raise-
endorse, right? They
Yeah.
endorse
Sorry.
Trump.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dave.
I do not think it's the time to raise taxes.
No,
Like
it's
they
not the
said.
time to raise taxes. Hell no.
Because once people's bottom line starts to get really in place, we have a pandemic on hand. A lot of businesses are struggling just to make their bottom line.
All businesses are
If they
struggling.
go under, these businesses, it will kill the economy. And it will kill the tax, and it will kill the school, and it will kill the firefighters.
There's no revenue from business. Where are you going to get the
no one to hand the
taxes?
bill to.
Now, I will say that I've seen a lot of businesses being American. I've seen a lot of businesses that are saying screw the state, and they've got all their tables open.
Look at what Trump has signed this year in relief because of COVID. It's like $7 trillion in
It's too damn
relief
much
efforts,
and I'm not
already.
I'm not proud
you know?
of that. I'm not proud of that either.
No, but hey,
That's not
that's a
good.
Herculean effort by the president.
That'll never get thanked. That'll never get thanked. That'll never
No.
be in his column. That'll never be reported as good. He should have never done it. I mean, I'm telling you, where we're at right now is we need to normalize.
And Pelosi's holding.
She's the one that
relief
held
money
everything back. That's
over
right.
Right now, after the president has already signed so much.
They've got $800 billion. That the $800 billion, that is one of the biggest numbers that you ever heard before we started using a word that we never used before, trillion. 800 billion was just about the largest monetary amount that anybody that was born in the 60s ever heard until around 2018 or 16 or no, it was during the Bush administration. Nobody ever heard the word trillion.
After 9/11. 9/11.
Right,
boom.
until George W. CIA Bush. Anyway, Dave, thanks for calling, man. Any further comments?
Yeah, it's just it's more important to have people supported and have the economy recover and have people not be taxed for a season, not forever, until people recover themselves from this dilemma that we're in right now. And people are happy to pay out of their abundance. It's hard for people to pay out of their need.
No, you're
So
right.
as the bottom line prospers, then, like I say, all these other things can prosper. What they don't understand about the Republicans is we're not against taxes, but we do know that there's a necessity for business to prosper first.
Right.
People, individual bottom lines to prosper first. So we're reconcilable on these things. You know,
I mean, on some things. I mean, like let's not. I'm not going to say I'm open to taxes on everything, but I mean, it needs to
the
be.
last thing you want to do is put that money in the hands of these greedy
Right.
politicians.
That's the
You would
thing.
rather have more opportunity for those who are
Right.
successful to
How
share
about
what they have
It would
locally.
be.
with
It
the
would be
people
nicer
in need.
to see. Why don't we
I think this is what
start
Trump is committed
rejoining
to.
back? Start rejoining back to the, the community organizations helping the people as opposed to the. I mean, you've got federal government funds going down to the local level. That's ridiculous, man. You know, it used to be the churches did this, the community organizations did this. We need to get away from the government as the answer. That's what we need to get away from. We need to get away from the government as our blanket. You know, it's just a corrosive idea when you look to the national level. I mean, I remember back in my studies that one of the things that happened during the Dust Bowl was that the president, I think it was Herbert Hoover at the time, was like, no, the federal government's not going to subsidize all these farmers that lost money. That's just nature. And it was upheld, but then shortly thereafter, we ran into FDR and, well, first, anyway. So, Dave, I want to thank you for calling.
If private sector jobs pay better than government jobs, then people are going to flock to the private sector. This will help offset our tax.
Yeah. The only problem.
Why do I want to be a teacher or a firefighter when I can make better money in the private sector?
Right, but I mean, we don't want to demonize. We don't.
Advantageous to not have these jobs that are in the government.
We don't want to demonize our public
They're meant
servants.
to be servants,
Right. Well, we don't want to demonize our public servants,
not for
but
profit.
I don't consider teachers public servants. I consider them partisans.
Yeah, and if you're a honest teacher, do you want to teach the next generation?
Right.
Right.
Why should you have the government telling you how you should teach? If you're going to share your knowledge and try to bring along the next generation, the last thing you need is regulations and restrictions on how you do it. I mean, the way you want to relay your knowledge or knowledge of the past to the next generation, if you do it successfully and your students rise up and be prime, boom, the next thing you know is the neighbors and the families are going to say, hey, this is one hell of a teacher. I want this guy. I want this lady to teach my kids. I don't want it to be government influenced on who decides what my kids need to know.
Dave, I want to thank you for calling, man. I really appreciate it. We're getting ready to close her
I'm
down.
sorry, I didn't.
You don't have to be sorry. You don't have to be sorry. Great call.
No.
Great call. Any final comments?
Making me think.
Yeah, I think that it's important for America to get back to a more spiritual, Bible-based than just an opinion-based situation, because a lot of these situations that we're going through could be divided and handled better if we were to just, open our Bible again. So anyway, I just feel that.
Say that last part again.
If we just opened our Bibles again.
Our Bibles, yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
I got you. I didn't understand you. No, that was. You're so right, man. You're so right. You're so right. The evil that is out there right now is palpable, man. I mean, it's
right.
You can see it. You can see it on the left, and you can see the incompetence on the right. Between those two, it's like, how in the hell are we going to get through this? But we will. We will get through it.
anyhow, so yeah, there's temporal lust and passion, and then there's, you know, the rule of the things that are eternal. And Washington seems really, and provisional things, you know, that you just, you know, don't have anything to do with us.
Right.
You know, those are the kind of blessings. You know, I reiterate, Washington, that all blessings, public and private, you know, my dependence upon heaven for all blessings, public and private.
Right.
that's A double L.
Hey, I tell my wife, Dave, all the time, because we are, in my family, very blessed. And I tell her every time, you know, I grew up in a situation where my parents never took me and my two brothers out to eat at a restaurant. My father took me out one time, and I had to dress up. I was probably 7 or 8, and I had to dress up in a suit and tie. And we went to the what the hell was it called? I don't remember, but it was a political club.
Okay.
And I went there with a Democrat political operative because my godfather was the congressman of my district, Democrat. And I got steak Diane. No, I got filet mignon. And my dad made the black waiter come over and cut my steak for me. And I ate it, and it was all good, you know. But that was my initiation into politics.
And think about that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a real story. The Press Club. It's even worse. It was called the Press Club. The Press Club. Yeah. Democrat stronghold called the Press Club in Pittsburgh.
Right.
And I believed it for a long time until I was probably around 30. You know, once I had my son and I started listening to Rush Limbaugh, thank God, man, for that.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Let's send prayers over to him. He's the one that changed me. Him and a couple other things that happened in my life. Getting in an argument about gun control in a frickin' rural Pennsylvania bar. That was fun. But other than that, that's what changed me. And it changed me for the better. And, you know, my point is that leftism must be destroyed. It can't be compromised with. It can't be bargained with. It can't be negotiated with. We have to get out there, ladies and gentlemen, and destroy it. And it's not going to end on November 3rd. It's only going to have just begun on November 3rd, and you better be freaking ready. Dave, thanks for calling. I appreciate the call.
Definitely.
You have a good weekend, sir. All right, so there's Dave.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you. And I don't know why my button doesn't work.
I'll let you go.
Dave always makes
hang up
think.
on me, man.
You know, I love that.
He does.
Somebody
no, that's true.
It makes me think. You know,
me too. You know,
I love that,
and it's true. It's just the way it works. But Jack, we've had a successful show, and
had great callers once again.
Excellent
winner
callers
of the week.
Oh, I did it again! God, every week I have a chalkboard that is up in front of me that says winners and losers, and I blow it. Is this the third week in a row that I've blown this?
It might have been a month straight, but you know.
Oh, a month straight. All right.
It's okay.
You're winners and losers.
I was laughing because
you did good. You did
Rocky,
good.
And when you were
because I have them.
You know,
I have them. I'm looking at the clock. It's 10:45. I'm like, I got to go.
All right. We'll
go
be
ahead.
done by 11.
Oh no, it's no problem.
I was laughing when you were talking about your little steak dinner, right? When the political scene and Rocky's chimed in.
Dude, that was
Sizzler. It was at the Sizzler.
I was little. No, this was at a freaking badass
yeah,
place.
Rocky
man.
said Sizzler.
No, they rolled up they rolled a thing up. It wasn't a waitress with a tray on her hand. It was like a table with wheels, and they rolled it up. But anyway, go ahead. Winners and
I
losers.
understand. It was a joke. It was supposed to be funny.
I know.
You
It
have
was
to
hilarious,
explain.
man. It was a ha.
My winner this week, for folks tuned in, you may not have heard, but you may recognize this name, Glenn Greenwald.
What a guy, man. Greenfield.
Greenwald.
Greenfield.
Glenn Greenwald.
Is it Greenwald or
Creator, Greenwald.
Of The Intercept.
The Intercept. One of the co-creators of The Intercept, which is a media outlet that he created after he exposed the Ed Snowden story, right? Exposing the NSA spying on Americans. And his outlet then was The Guardian, and he got tired of the restrictions on what he was trying to say. He created
the whole thing, yeah.
His own deal. And here we are from 2013. It took him 7 years from the time that he co-created.
This might be the you look at the idea of the dikes and the Netherland boy with his finger in the dike, right. And then he pulls his finger out and all of a sudden this whole thing goes down. This could be that,
right.
Man.
Because Glenn Greenwald is not any way a Trump fan.
He's a Democrat.
Liberal.
Yeah.
But he is an honest journalist and still holds true to the mantra of journalism.
Yeah.
Also, if you remember during Occupy Wall Street and the early days of Vice, and when they first started Vice News, there was a reporter there called Tim Pool. He left Vice. He went to an ABC Fusion, collaboration, and then, for big money, and he left that place. He is now solo. Matt Taibbi. There are so many left-leaning or basically classic liberal journalists out there who still hold the ethics of journalism. Report the truth. If you're reporting news, tell the truth, right? Glenn Greenwald is the latest. He resigned from The Intercept, an entity that was basically, the income for him and his family. He's got a wife and about 3 kids. He abandoned them because of their efforts to silence him and his effort to report on what was not being reported, the Hunter Biden story. So that's my winner. His bravery and his reason, even though he is no supporter of President Trump, he is tired of the left's effort to silence the truth. My loser this week, as always, is anyone with all of this information, all of the opportunity to learn and discern the truth, that decide to honk horns in support of the Democrat ticket of Corn Pop's nemesis Biden and Willie Brown's under the desk person known as Kamala. Next Tuesday we'll find out where America leans.
Yeah. So I had to step away a little bit. So did you get your winners and losers both in, sir? Because I
got
don't
it.
know.
I just finished my loser, so you're good.
Okay, just checking. I had to take care of something, but my winner this week is Tucker Carlson. I mean, the one guy in the whole national media that's on camera in front of the country did what he needed to do, man. I mean, what a guy. What a guy. Tucker is bold, courageous. Don't know what his future is going to be, but...
Hey, he's number one on the entire atmosphere. Cable,
he should
network, he is number one.
He should. He should be. He is... so far ahead of Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity and anybody else. I mean, this guy, he's a warrior, man. I mean, man, shout out to Tucker Carlson. I don't understand why his website sucks. The Daily Caller, I have never seen.
I don't think he's part of that anymore. I think he got rid of it.
Oh, good. That's good because the Daily Caller's going downhill, man. They've got some correspondents on there that have been putting out negative, and let me be honest. You know, I'm looking at this from a partisan position. Right. You know, I'm a Trump supporter. I want Trump to win, and I'm looking at this knowing that it's a conservative website, and I'm looking at these reports on here, and they're, you know, talking about how Biden's going to win, and I'm like, and then I look at the author, and his name, he's an Indian guy. You know, we've got a lot of international interference in our country.
Yeah, well, you know, and I mean, Tucker's been, has criticism.
It's his website.
But I don't know if he's still associated with that website.
Let's find out. Let's find out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I
But
know
my
he
loser,
was part of the origination.
no, he founded it. It was his website. He founded it. Tucker Carlson founded the Daily Caller. It was his deal. That's how he's on Fox. It's the only reason he's on Fox.
No, that's wrong. But
No, that's not wrong. Why else would he be on Fox?
he was a huge dude on CNN back in the day.
He was?
He was a big TV guy on CNN when CNN was number one.
He's only like 40.
Yeah, he was part of. There was the left and right. Remember Hannity and Combs?
Yeah.
Like you had the left and right.
Yeah,
And-
I remember Hannity and Combs. I don't remember Tucker
Carlson was
Carlson.
on the show. I think it was Crossfire on CNN.
Yeah. Anyway,
Tucker Carlson with
his
his
claim to
own
fame was
fire.
definitely the Daily Caller, man. It was definitely. The Daily Caller is one of the best websites, news websites that's been out there. I've been following them for a long time. I mean, probably over 10 years, probably over 20 years. I mean, well, not 20, but definitely 10. Anyway, my loser is the Lincoln Project. Don't know if you've heard of them,
Yes.
but they are never Trumper Republicans who have advanced Joe Biden commercials and are actively funding Joe Biden for president initiatives. And I will also add in my losers of the week, Brett Baer's special report, because all he has on his panel anymore are Lincoln Project Never Trumpers when he puts somebody up there to defend Republicans.
Isn't
You've got Stephen
Bill
Hayes.
Kristol,
Stephen Hayes is on there all the time.
right? The Dispatch.
Jonah
which is,
Goldberg is on there all the time. Bill Kristol hasn't been on there in a while.
No, he's lurking because, they went from that big outfit with Krauthammer and all that.
The
They used to
Weekly
have the
Standard.
cruises, right? You could
Right.
Spend $1,000,
And they're dead. They're all dead. They're all
Yeah,
dead. Jonah Goldberg's dead, so is Stephen Hayes. But Brett Baer keeps bringing these bastards on there to make people think that Trump is dead. And he's not dead. Don't believe these fake bastards. Don't do it. They're the enemy. They are the enemy. And that's why.
Yeah, well, that's the never Trumpers for you. But it's interesting that the former host, Brit Hume, he's
like a Trump guy now.
Yeah. It's
crazy.
Trump.
It's crazy, man. He's like because he wasn't always like that.
No. I guess he was controlled when he was, because Bret Baier sits in the seat that Brit Hume sat in.
That he used to sit
Brit
in.
Hume said he was retired, but he never left. He's always around there.
I know. And I used to get on him. And I even had a Twitter war with him before I got assassinated off Twitter. But he's been incredibly sane throughout this whole thing.
When he got away from being the anchor and got to sit there and read and understand, because he's a journalist.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait a minute. I've been freaking snowballed the last 10 years of my career. This ain't right.
And he wants America to prosper.
He lost his son. His son was supposed to be the next, like Chris Wallace was the protege or the spawn of Mike Wallace from 60 Minutes. Brit Hume, his son, was being groomed, and he was, breaking into news, and he started reporting on things that the deep state didn't want reported, and he's gone.
Right.
Brit Hume, sort of at that point was devastated and then stuck to the protocol there for quite a while.
But he came out strong, man. I mean, he's like reporting truth now.
Yeah,
it's nuts. All right, Jack, we're done. We'll be back on Monday. How can people get in touch with you?
You can find me here next Friday, hopefully. I hope everyone goes out there and votes, and we can all celebrate Tuesday night election, the re-election of President Trump.
That's right. Thank you, Jack. And I got to say, that's right. And go out there and do that. We're going to be back one more time before the election on Monday. But I think we all know what we have to do. We all know. The country depends on it, and we're going to. And I just have to pause this one more time. I have to go back one more time because am I going to be able to do it? Yeah, kind of, but I'm going to have to crisscross here and do that, and no, I'm not going to be able to do it, so forget it. Remember the Biden salad. This guy's not even right. Go to rspn.bandcamp.com. Support Jacob Seals. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. We will be back on Monday. We'll tell you what's going on going forward. And that's that, man. Have a great weekend. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Gotta go. God bless.
what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land under the frame, and the home of the brave? Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight you in the name of the brave. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. The stand of the brave, the US of A. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the
Thank you. Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.